Is she so intelligent?
Oh my gosh.
No, not at all.
Did they think that she's smarter than she looks?
Wow,
Wow, I
expected
wasn't
that from her.
And then my
expecting
mom
that.
went on to say, did you see her on Donnybrook? She was the best on Donnybrook that night. And I was like,
God.
she goes, are you ever going to be on Donnybrook? And I went, I've been on 3 times, Mom. You've never watched. 3 times I've been on Donnybrook.
I like your
She's like,
mom.
I like your mom too.
Yeah,
I
ditto.
love
The
it.
moms have had a big week this week.
Yeah,
All
what's
the
that?
moms have gotten shout outs.
Oh, yeah, because Amy was involved in a shooting.
What?
Well,
Yeah, you didn't
I
hear about the
wasn't
shooting?
involved
you
in
heard
the
you heard the
shooting.
gunfire.
Yeah, it was like right
Yeah.
outside. And
Well, that's just commonplace in town.
That's what I
Everybody's
said.
got that.
Although it was
She
close
ducked and
enough,
covered.
I had to duck and cover
Whoa.
because I thought it was in like my front yard, because my window was open. It was right there, and so I ducked down and then crawled behind the counters and just stayed down for a while. But what happened was I forgot to tell my mom, and she was listening to the show,
Oh.
and so then Ranji, so she texts me. All caps,
All
lots
caps.
of exclamation
Yeah.
points. And Ranji, as we get back on air, says, well, it looks like the text line is getting a lot of response.
Well,
Yeah.
if you live, I've lived in the city of St. Louis for 20 years now. And when you first move into the city, you're trying to decipher, is that fireworks or
Yeah.
gunshots? Now you just know. You'll be able to tell somebody, oh, chill
Yeah.
out. That's just fireworks. No, get down. That's guns.
There's a clear difference. Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
It's funny you say that, Michael, because we're in the same neighborhood, and I was telling Amy and the listeners this yesterday. I hear a lot of pop, 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 pop like that, right? And I can't tell if it's a motor vehicle
Right.
or if it's somebody shooting, and it's usually late, so I'm assuming it's shots,
Right.
but I can't tell where it's coming from. But I feel like I hear it in the Central West End a lot. So
Right.
I mean,
Were you in the West End for New Year's? Because a lot of my neighbors
No.
said it was ridiculous
Ridiculous.
what was going on New Year's with the guns.
I try to leave town on New Year's Eve
Smart
so I
man.
can avoid the falling bullets.
Right.
So I was in the suburbs. I was in the suburbs on New Year's, and the fireworks and the gunshots were profuse because I went for a run. I was like running across midnight. So we were outside, and I thought, is this dangerous at this point? Because
Yes.
there was I'm like, oh, we're going to get hit by a bullet.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is that? What is
Firing
in
into
that?
the air?
Yes.
I don't know.
Where does that come from?
I don't
Why
know.
would that even be pleasurable?
Well, you see it a lot on TV. I
The
guess.
Wild West.
Yeah.
The Cowboys did
1963.
it.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But when the bullet used to come down, then it would hit sand.
Right.
But now it's hitting people.
Yeah.
Maybe we just came out to own a gun in
Mhm.
Missouri or in the St. Louis. Maybe you have to dress up in one of them cowboy costumes so that we all know that you're one of those people with guns and you
It's
might shoot it
actually
in
not
the
a
air.
bad idea.
That's not going to happen.
Should- what about chaps?
I used to have a whole cowboy getup that I did with the hat and the belt buckle and the boots and the whole
Chaps?
thing.
A costume.
I didn't have chaps.
Wait,
Would
where
you
did-
go to a party or?
Yeah.
I'm just going to work
You Hoosier. You're a
Go ahead.
Hoosier.
Where did you work?
in my office.
You wait. Is
Could
this
you ride your
because you were
horse
the
there?
head of the Republican Party that you thought you had to dress like that?
No, this was just going to work.
Amy.
Sorry. Well, like whenever someone runs for a Republican office, they always put on overalls or something.
Had
Right.
a huge belt buckle.
Suddenly they have a
Not
pickup they own for
overalls.
30 years. That's my
Here's my
pickup I've had
tractor.
for 30
I'm
years.
running for
Like
state
the
senate.
what was the show? The Duck Guys?
No, the Duck
Hunters?
Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty. That apparently all those dudes were very clean cut, and they're like, oh, here's a market for long beards and
Yeah.
No, but-
camouflage all the time.
They invented the duck call.
They invented
That's
it.
why
Yes.
they're the dynasty.
That's
They
exactly
created
right.
Oh,
it.
like the whole family.
Those guys are too young. How the
Their
duck call's been
family,
around-
their
Oh.
ancestors.
Whatever
I
happened
guess.
to the Duck Dynasty?
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I think they're just doing
They're back
okay.
to clean cut
But
suits.
can I ask you though? Did you wear the cowboy outfit when you were chair of the Republican Party?
No, no,
Okay.
no, no. This is we've just gotten into new office digs, and
And
I-
you thought I'm gonna dress like a cowboy?
well, I mean, I
I'm
had,
a rhinestone cowboy.
I had my boots, I had my belt buckle, I had my hat.
What
So-
was the job?
I was, running a small business,
What?
and
Did people take you
I'd
seriously?
come in the door and I'd say,
Howdy, Tex.
"Howdy, y'all."
Oh wow! I
Yeah.
love y'all.
Yeah, I do
Y'all's
too.
a great word.
It is far better than
Oh.
use.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How you's doing?
Yeah.
Can we go back to the whole Duck Dynasty thing for a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
The beard thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's everywhere right now, right? In sports, all the relievers and stuff. I don't get it. I think it's nasty. I think it looks horrible. Is it attractive to females, men with all that hair coming out? Ugh.
Some women love it.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love
an authority over here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what women like, boys.
Trust me. Well, maybe not you, but Amy, you're like in the 99th
You gotta
percentile
be
of
careful
something.
here, buddy.
Yeah, you're a little abnormal.
Some thin ice.
But the ladies,
They like the
they
beards.
love a beard. I think beards look pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I kind of like them,
Oh.
except I know too much about beards. Like we know for
What
a
is there to
fact
know?
you can't clean them well enough.
Ah,
No matter how well you think your beard is clean, it's not.
yeah. You can grow a beard. I can't. So
Yeah,
have
mine
you
would
done
be
it?
pretty. It'd be a
White.
lot of gray in it.
Yeah, but if you're hungry around 2 p.m, they're very
Ew.
handy to have around.
Have you ever grown a beard?
Yeah.
You used to have a mustache when I first met
I
you.
had a mustache, and when the dog ripped my lip off that one time, I grew a beard
Uh-huh.
and or a
Ooh.
goatee. So,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
I can't do it. I'm like, it's just
You're
I would-
incapable, or you just don't like
no,
it.
I physically can't get it. Like,
But you
I,
have
they don't-
such
it
a
doesn't
great
grow
head
in.
of hair.
thank you, right?
You
But
have
the rest of my
incredible
body is
hair.
hairless, so
Yeah.
like my
you
face
can
is,
scrub your pots and pans with that thing.
Yeah, it's like a Brillo pad.
Uh-huh.
But I can't get it to come
What, his
out.
body or his face?
Yeah.
His hair.
I can't get it to come. So maybe it's jealousy. Now I like the scruff look that you
Yeah.
have going on, and I think that as a woman, I would find that attractive. And even like a
Thank you,
very
Michael.
nicely trimmed beard,
How are we going?
I
down
think
this
I could
road?
deal with. But these guys who've got like 2 inches of
See, here's
hair,
the-
it looks nasty.
I don't think it looks. It can. I think you got to trim it up a little bit if you have one. Here's the problem with the beard. As I said, you can't clean it well enough.
Uh-huh.
And there was the story that came out probably 4 or 5 years ago. They did swabs of beards,
Oh my gosh.
Ugh.
and there's.
Oh,
Let me tell you what's always in a beard. No matter what, you do,
Yes.
there's always fecal matter.
Oh,
How?
I don't know
Oh,
because
come on.
people aren't clean. That's why.
That give me now.
It's true. This is
Now
absolutely,
I'll never shake hands with another guy with a beard.
I'm not gonna have lunch.
and here.
is it because
Well-
when they flush the toilet and stand in the bathroom, the
Uh,
plume?
I don't
Fecal
really know.
plume?
I don't really know. I think
How-
it's because of the
why are we
hair.
talking about this?
Well,
How did
because
this-
Because we're
where did
talking
this
about
come
hair.
from?
This
Talking
is
about
entertainment,
beards.
brother.
Yeah.
But
This
if
is
it's
what
in your
we do.
beard, isn't the fecal plume hitting the rest of your hair, like on top of
I don't
your
like
head?
the word fecal plume.
It would be good for a rock band.
What? Fecal
Fecal-
plume? Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. It's fecal plume.
do you remember on Saturday? I don't remember what the sketch was about. I just remember it was on SNL and it was called Fecal Matters, and it was like a talk show roundtable,
This is remarkable.
and that's all
Oh.
they talked about.
That's actually a
Absolutely
great name.
remarkable what's happening right now.
But John, there's more. Just wait. Do you think what's happening now here in this room is worse than the House of Representatives?
It's a tough call.
No.
Oh,
it's
come
not
on,
even
Hancock.
close.
This is a guy who wears a costume to his office. So just
not a
take it for what it's all.
You dressed as a cowboy.
My
Yeah.
jeans, my boots, my belt,
Yeah.
my hat.
And it wasn't Halloween and you weren't in a movie. You shouldn't be dressed in a costume.
It's not a costume.
It is too.
I got a lot of, if you go back in my ancestry, I got a lot of that going.
What? Why don't you
Don't
come
we all?
one Friday here
Yeah.
Probably.
in your costume or in your outfit, your
Yeah.
country outfit?
Well, I've lost the belt buckle.
That's okay. We can deal without it. I mean, you've come in here without pants on before, so we'll be okay without you having a belt buckle on.
No, those were capris.
By the way, that was a conversation at dinner last night. My aunt said, "Did he really come in with pants that were up?" I was like, "You could not exaggerate." She goes, "How come you didn't take a picture?"
That's what Ranji
what I-
said.
yeah.
We messed up. We should have taken.
Well,
a
I
picture.
appreciate that.
Get the
What-
costume and come back in here some
Okay,
Friday.
I'm not trying to be rude here, but when you had the cowboy outfit, were you running for office?
No,
Okay.
no, I was just getting dressed in the morning.
Did you lose a bet?
It was a good, and I don't like to talk, Michael, but it was a good look on me. There I was.
What did Georgianne think?
Well, she was into it, and
Come here, Mabel.
You got your,
Go out for a
hat.
ride.
You got to wear your hat a little bit askew.
Uh-huh.
Your cowboy hat, a little tilted, and and that belt buckle. Ooh,
And then you drove home to Chesterfield.
I did.
I took you to a Garth Brooks concert,
Yeah.
and you didn't wear your costume there. Every other Hoosier was wearing one.
Well, it was not appropriate. My hat would my hat would obstruct the view of whomever was
Guys.
sitting behind me. It's a big one. I got a big one. It's a really big
You're
hat.
talking about the Hoosiers. I feel like you're insulting my heritage.
I
So,
agree. I
yeah,
agree. Those are my people.
Do you
out there.
mind?
In
It's
the
all
hills.
of our people. We
My
all
family
live in
lives in
Missouri.
Poplar Bluff now. Come on,
Oh,
you know.
Oh,
God's
my
country.
I thought you were from
ancestors.
God's
Indiana.
country.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Those are the
from-
Hoosiers.
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you this real quick before we go to break.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if people here realize that the word Hoosiers means one thing here and it does not mean that anywhere else.
Yeah, we know.
Like,
that.
We get that.
You
We're
do?
aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
All right.
everybody gets that.
Because I used it for the first time ever when I graduated from high school and I went to Illinois State, which is halfway up the
Totally.
state.
Home of the Redbirds.
And I called somebody a Hoosier.
I'm not
And
from
they were
Indiana.
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Same thing happened to me at Ole Miss. I'd call people a Hoosier and they'd
Yeah,
be
they
like,
know what
"Well,
you're
I'm not
talking
from
about."
Indiana. I'm from Mississippi.
Well, big shout out to the people in Popular Bluff.
It's Poplar Bluff.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's where they live now, I
It's
think.
not far from Hancock Billiards, is it?
Well, that's in Rolla. Was.
Aren't they
in
close to
Rolla.
each other? I don't
No,
know.
Poplar Bluff and Rolla are not that close.
They're not?
No.
Oh, by the way, I got a text from a friend of mine the
Yeah.
other day. I showed Amy.
Yeah.
There is a Ranji Street in Bonne Terre, Missouri.
There it is.
Really?
Yeah, that is where my ancestors settled.
Spelled
My
the same
French-
way.
Yep,
Want to go down there and steal it?
I kind of do.
What's
Let's
the
go.
French pronunciation?
I'll help
Is it
you.
Ranger?
Ranger. And actually, in French, it's spelled like Ranger.
Oh, wow.
You like
Ranger. I do like it.
Isn't that
You
great?
could play hockey.
I could.
Mhm.
Well, but
Well, he's not athletic.
I'm not athletic.
Yeah,
So
there is that.
John Hancock, Michael Kelly, they're going to hang around for a little bit longer. In fact, a lot longer with us. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to The Dave Glover Show and all the news, talk, sports, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Paramount Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 314-720-8081.
You know when you start up a motorcycle and you hear it go vroom, vroom, vroom when it takes off? I was losing that. I was losing my energy like everybody does as they grow older. And I don't want to be tired. I don't want to look tired and I don't want to be tired. I started using Balance of Nature about 1.5 years ago. Noticed the results immediately. And I went, oh my gosh, this works. This is what I've been missing all my life. I'm loving life actually more than I ever have. I missed my va-va voom. I got it back.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. See why Kathy Lee Gifford and thousands of others have had life-changing success with Balance of Nature. Take advantage of our New Year's offer while you still can. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. That's 1-800-246-8751 and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code KLG.
We're joined once again by Dr. Colleen Bosler of the Audiology Center. Doctor, let's address the elephant in the room. Over-the-counter hearing aids.
Charlie, it's no secret that a cheap amplified listening device has been on the market for years. But what makes these devices different in recent news is that they now can market them as hearing aids. So there is a newfound interest. But it's important to understand that these devices do not have a prescription for the patient's specific loss, which can be dangerous and ineffective. And at the Audiology Center, I love to help people, educate them, get them to know the major differences, and I want to guide them towards what's best for their individual needs.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Make an appointment today at 636-441-7470 or simply online at audiologycenterstl.com.
News, talk, sports. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Hancock and Kelly with Amy and Chris on KMOX
missed you
this
guys.
morning, this Friday. I missed you guys.
We
too.
missed you.
Yeah.
It's been like 3 weeks since
It
we've all
has.
been together in
It
the same
has.
room.
Because he's, occasionally out of town.
Occasionally.
You're always out of town.
Yeah. John, will you
Amy
be
was
with
out
us
of
next
town.
week?
Hmm?
Will you be with us next Friday when I'm here?
I'll be out of town.
Oh, okay. What are you doing? You going on vacation?
I'm going on a little mini vacation.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Jeez. Oh.
to the mother.
Last night, I'm going to the
Mothership.
bathroom at the restaurant. Guy walks up to me and he says, "Well, it's good to see that you're back in town, finally working." And I'm like, I'm getting snot from people for my part-time job that I do on the radio once a week because this guy gives me endless amounts of trouble.
You know,
And people come up and give me trouble.
I will say this though. What you just did to him is the equivalent of, like, let's say you eat a lot. Like
Uh-huh.
you have 15 meals a day.
Okay.
And somebody's like, man, you eat way too much. And then the following day, you turn the tables on the other guy and go, I see you're eating breakfast right now. Well, yeah, like John's got to go away sometime.
Yeah.
He's got to go on vacation at some point.
Well, I did too.
Been 15 or 20 years since I've had a vacation.
That's
Not true, but it's been since right before COVID is the last time.
You know, you gonna take
Really?
your cowboy hat on your trip?
Yeah.
The chaps.
Yeah.
You have
Oh.
chaps?
Nope.
No. Ranji, do you have chaps?
No, I don't have
Amy?
chaps anymore.
Any chaps?
I once represented a company that made ski chaps.
What?
The chaps to go skiing.
Snow skiing.
Yes, you would put them. It didn't go well. You would. I was doing PR for them, and how convenient. You just slide the chap up over your pants leg there, and down the slope you go.
But wait, are there bottoms in the chaps?
I don't remember. It was
Isn't
a long
it
time
chap
ago.
doesn't have a bottom?
Well, I think the whole chaps
All right.
Are
from
just
country
pants.
Western movies are just the front part, right?
Yeah.
They don't go on your back.
Right.
Yeah.
They just cover so that like dirt and other
I
stuff.
think
on-
it's, isn't it for the bull riding?
Well, all the snow.
I don't know.
All the
Bulls.
snow's going to
The
hit
bulls.
you in the front when you're going down the hill.
Unless
yeah.
you
It's a
fall.
brilliant concept, the ski chap,
I
if you
don't-
think about it.
Mm,
Because
I
you're
don't
not
think
getting
so.
snow on the back of your leg unless you fall down. And you're not
Well,
gonna-
yeah.
if
if
you
you
don't know what
ski,
you're
you
doing.
fall down.
Only if you don't know what you're doing, Michael.
That's
I've
not
never
true.
fallen skiing. And so
You've never
never
skied.
well, that's an excellent point. But the chap itself was quite the invention.
You guys skiers?
Yeah.
I have not.
Well, I say yeah. I haven't been in 15, 17 years.
Right.
But when I was like younger, we went every year for 5 years and it was a ton of fun. And then I haven't been in 17 years.
Yeah.
But I think since like I play hockey, skating is the same motion.
So skiing to me is like riding a bike. Once you've done it, you're able to do it.
Yeah.
But every time I go to ski, I get to that top of the mountain and I think this is the craziest doggone thing I have ever decided to do because you look down that
Yeah.
mountain, you're like, this is ridiculous.
Especially when it's so steep you can't see the
Right.
rest of the run. So you just
Ooh.
you ski and sometimes you like if I get to an edge where I can't see over it, I'll stop
Yeah.
and look over and go, okay. And then I keep going.
And you know what really made me want to be a skier? Because the first time I did it, I was falling all the time. I'm not going to do it. And all
The
of a sudden,
agony
I'm
of
on the
defeat
bunny
guy?
slope. No, a blind guy, literally a blind guy who's being, he's a blind man. And it says blind skier.
We've established that
It
fact.
says blind skier and he's
So
So I couldn't
attached.
see.
Right.
That would
and
be
he's-
that would be a dead giveaway.
and
right
he's
there.
attached
It
via
sure says
rope to
blind
another
skier.
person and he's skiing. And I thought it was kind of like when I did the marathon. I was
Yeah.
like, Oprah can run a marathon. I better go run one. This blind guy can ski. I got both my eyes. I'm going to ski. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I get
What,
what you're
is that
saying.
offensive?
No.
You both are all are
I mean,
looking at me like I can't believe
I'm
he's saying
sure
this.
someone is offended.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
quite possibly.
that happens when I wake up.
Yeah,
It
right.
happens to Amy too.
Yeah.
We just
Uh,
offend people.
We are. That's why we work so well together,
Yeah.
Michael. We're pretty offensive as a pair.
Did you run today?
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
but I'm giving up running.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Well, I'm tired of getting a bunch of crap from the people I work with. So I figured I'll stop running and just start drinking.
No, you
because-
can't stop running. You can't stop
I
running.
think so.
It's who you are.
I
It's
don't-
it's part of your whole.
No, I've decided
Don't-
to stop. We're gonna see.
You don't do things in moderation. Don't start drinking.
I
Because
know.
when
think
you
about
run
that.
5, most people run mile, 2 miles. You,
know
run
what
20.
I don't want you to start drinking, and what I want you to do is to start. You need to start getting high.
Oh, hey
It's legal now. It's
Amen.
legal in Missouri. That's what you need to be doing.
First of all,
Peace and love.
you know my personality.
I think it would take the edge off a little
Yeah,
for you.
because I'm shrill and hysterical.
No.
I didn't say
bet you
either
would-
of those things.
I could only imagine the ideas that would come out of Amy if she was high.
You know what though? What if it's like a reverse process for me where I just become more boring?
Yeah.
Because like I'm already like weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
you're very weird.
I'm very weird. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna stop running. Today was my last day of running.
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Welcome to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
13.
13 this morning.
But I'm gonna stop. This is the last day.
Now, people are
Ever.
literally believing this,
Yes,
so
they
you
are.
should knock this off. Because you're like training to like win a marathon or
Well,
win races, right?
Let me ask you this question: how many lives do you think are affected if they hear Amy stopped running?
It's an excellent
Many.
point.
Many.
Excellent point.
She did what?
She quit?
I can't believe
What?
it.
What's wrong with her? Oh, well,
Oh,
she's a drunk now.
By the way, no, she needs to be a pothead. Is what she needs to be.
Stoner.
You can text the show at 314-436-7900.
Please.
We've already got a couple.
Yeah.
Let's.
This one is for John Hancock,
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Mhm.
and it says, "What happens in the bedroom should stay in the bedroom." John,
Your cowboy outfit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
talk about his cowboy.
you mean the Golden Girls reruns? I shouldn't be talking about those.
Is that what goes on?
That's what went on last night.
Oh my gosh! I gotta visit you in Georgia. I love the Golden Girls.
All three in bed together watching it.
Honestly, I think for a lot of couples, that would be the dream to watch Golden Girls in bed. So you're living the dream.
I am living the dream. There's no
All right.
question about it.
Let's get into serious things, serious matters.
Good to have
When
us over.
When we come back after this, the news coming up on KMOX.
Long, long years, so many a man's soul of faith.
Save the date.
January 26th at the Wildy Theater in Edwardsville.
It's the DGS Live, a night of comedy and music.
It's an absolute riot. All the stories I tell on the air that you guys love, I tell the real ones. I don't have to be FCC friendly.
Tickets are on sale now,
$60 for VIP.
which gets you floor seating, a pre-show VIP meet and greet with a DGS, and more.
Regular tickets, which are $30. We should have charged more.
The DGS Live.
January 26th.
For tickets or more info, KMOX.com/events.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Stress and anxiety reactions following disasters can be challenging. If you were impacted by the recent floods, show me hope because help is available. Find resources and local providers at moshowmehope.org. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Mental Health.
I'm Rick Edelman, host of the award-winning personal finance radio show, The Truth About Your Future. Here to tell you that The Truth About Your Future is now a daily podcast. Short and quick, every day I give you the information you need about personal finance, longevity, retirement security, exponential technologies, blockchain and digital assets, and health and wellness. Get the truth about your future with Rick Edelman. The podcast is at YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Google, and The Truth, AYF.com.
At 10:30, we have a sunny sky, 36 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Stuart McMillan. Here's what's happening. Washington is marking the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol 2 years ago.
Brian David Sicknick.
Members of Congress gathering outside the Capitol to honor and remember the officers who died and were injured in that attack. Those who died, the families were reading their names. In southern Illinois, some schools were placed on lockdown as a precaution in the last hour. because of an apparent shooting that occurred on Highway 13. This includes John A. Logan College that was put on lockdown just as a precaution. Police in and around Carterville, Illinois, which is between Carbondale and Marion, are looking for a suspect wanted for a shooting. Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin is breathing on his own, able to talk after they're taking out the breathing tube, and it was removed. This, according to his agent. The 24-year-old remains in critical condition at a Cincinnati hospital after he went into cardiac arrest on field. Stalled vehicle on 270 southbound just past Dorset, the right shoulder. Stalled vehicle I-170 southbound at St. Charles Rock Road. The right shoulder is affected there as well. Weather high around 47, periods of clouds and sun. Considerable clouds and shower in places late, low around 35 for tonight. Tomorrow, high of 46. And a little rain, high around 40 for Sunday. Seasonably cold with mainly cloudy skies. Can't rule out a rain or snow showers even for Sunday. Right now, 38 degrees in St. Peter's and 37 at Florissant, 36 degrees downtown at the Arch with a sunny sky. I'm Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
When you need to know what's happening, it's time to get in the huddle.
Whatever happened to teams saying, we're not going to pay you? Whatever happened to, hey, I know you're in your third year of your fifth year, contract, your 5-year contract. We're not paying you. Come back, play great. I don't give a damn if you unfollow us on Instagram.
Listen to In the Huddle, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers. GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. In 2016, one of my employees accidentally clicked through an online vendor's contract, which recommitted my company to an additional 12 months of their service. I called the vendor to explain the accident. Nope, they pointed to their ironclad contract, told me to pay or else. I will pay them, but after 12 months, I'm gone. I've been in business over 30 years, and I've never made my customers sign a long-term contract. Never. And now, my fifth successful company, Patriot Software, offers payroll to business owners with 1 to 100 employees, and there's no long-term contract. And if you need help with your payroll, we will help you for free. Go to PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arnado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win!
The Chiefs. Touchdown! Kansas City! We are America's sports voice. KMOX.
Amy and Chris on KMOX with Hancock and Kelly, as we do every Friday in the 10 o'clock hour. A couple of text messages to 314-436-7900. I am a grandpa. This is from a 314. I am a grandpa, and I want to adopt Amy.
Well,
there
how
you
about
go.
that?
She is great. Don't ever change. That's what it says.
Well, that's cool.
Don't ever change. That's what they used to write in my yearbook back in the day.
Yes, that's what everybody wrote.
Oh, that's an excellent point, too.
Yes. Also, this one, never let the Ghostbusters cross the streams and never let Amy smoke pot.
Ooh.
What
So those are
happens when
two-
the Ghostbusters cross the
Have you not
stream?
seen the movie?
What do you think?
They have to get to the other side.
Oh, my God. John.
I'm just trying to help here.
What does happen when the streams cross?
Oh, bad things.
Bad
Everything
things.
blows up.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the Rubicon? Like crossing the Rubicon?
All right. Guys,
it's been a long time since I saw Ghostbusters. In fact, I think I saw it in a movie theater where everybody chants Ghostbusters. Remember that when they play
Yeah, I
the
remember
song?
the
And,
song.
yeah,
I
and it
don't
was in the
remember-
movie.
I don't remember people chanting it.
Yeah, when they would play the song, everybody would go Ghostbusters. We were kids.
Listen, I'm
We're
not
about the
gonna
same age,
smoke
aren't we?
pot.
Yeah.
You're not?
No, Amy's not going to smoke.
It's
Not-
it's
not my
kind of like this
style.
whole last 20 minutes. If you smoked pot, it would feel
That's why
similar to
it's-
this.
It's redundant
Ah.
for me to smoke pot.
Do you guys
Yes.
wish that some members of the House of Representatives would get on the pot?
Wait, get on the pot?
Get on the pot. Well, smoking the pot, the
Oh, okay.
reefer, the weed, the
Yeah,
dope.
yeah.
I don't think it would make any difference.
So, what the hell?
I don't know. I haven't seen any reporting today because I've been busy, but
what?
my understanding is that there may be some movement toward McCarthy, but not enough to get him to 218. But we'll find that out, I guess, at the top of the hour here, because they go reconvene at noon Eastern time, and they'll take the 12th ballot for Speaker of the House. And I think we'll probably expend the rest of today on the 12th, 13th, 14th, and maybe the 15th ballot.
As this goes on, how are your feelings about it? Are they evolving? Are they about the same? Like, is there frustration? What's on your mind?
It's going to get resolved. It's just a question of when and how. And it's such a bad look that you can't pull this thing together. You 4 years we were the minority, we take the majority, and now this. So it will get resolved. I don't think most people in the country are paying much attention to it at this point. They may have followed it on Tuesday or whatever. And it's going to happen when it happens, but it does need to happen sooner rather than later because, believe it or not, Congress does do some important things. And there are members of the Intelligence Committee that can't get briefings. They can't go and look at classified information, get updates on what's happening in Ukraine. And, that's a problem.
Yeah, and don't just imagine if grandma's Social Security gets messed up or somebody needs to get an emergency passport renewed. Your congressperson cannot, they have no way to help you right now. We are without a House of Representatives. It's really sad. I mean, for the first couple of votes, it was entertaining as a Democrat to see the Republicans reaping what they sow. But now it's kind of become sad. And ultimately what it spells to me, which is the next 2 years is going to be a lot like the 4 years we had with Donald Trump, where things are just going to always be taken to the brink on everything. I mean, it's going to be nuttiness, whether it's dealing with the debt ceiling, whether it's dealing with Ukraine, border issues. It's just going to always break down into this nonsense. And I think that's what our next 2 years looks like.
Are the Republicans in a really, really bad spot because they've made enough concessions over the past couple of years that now they've put themselves in a position where they can be held hostage by the likes of Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz?
Well, that's what's happening. That's precisely what's happening right now.
And what do you do? I mean, it's too late now, but they're quite literally
Well, you got a
being held hostage.
four-seat majority. So it takes 4 knuckleheads. And you go out and corral any group of 223 people or whatever, you're going to find 4 knuckleheads in that group. And that's kind of what we're living right now.
Yeah, but they're incentivized to be knuckleheads. That's the problem of where we're at. The nice thing about speakers of old is there was a process where you had the carrot and the stick.
Bingo.
Now what you have is you have a speaker that's impotent, can't do anything. On top of it all, you have some of these members of Congress who are bigger celebrities and are able to raise more money than the leadership because they go out and act the fool. Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. It happens on my side as well. Look, I've taken some glee in watching this happen. I'm scared about what the next 2 years looks like. I also think this is a playbook for folks on the far left of my party who tried to do this to Nancy Pelosi, by the way. She was a far more adept politician than Kevin McCarthy, but I fear that this potentially could come down the road if we got 20 or 30 people who consider themselves democratic socialists who want to hold it up to get their piece of the pie.
But don't you think Nancy Pelosi did a better job asserting the identity of the Democratic Party, despite the more progressive leanings of people in like the Squad, Rashida Tlaib and AOC. And Nancy Pelosi said that's not who we are completely. Whereas Kevin McCarthy and the rest of the Republicans let the wackos
Well, I
run
think,
wild.
Nancy Pelosi was already there as the leader when these folks came in. And if you remember, it wasn't all hunky-dory at the beginning. I mean, she had the AOC was going to hold out on some committee stuff, etc. Except that, she also had the vastness of 30 years of experience and having been there when these folks came. Kevin McCarthy's inheriting Donald Trump's mess. And he, by the way, he helped participate in it. I made this analogy earlier. It's probably a poor one, but it's kind of like finding out you have some type of disease, but the disease is making you lose weight. And you're like, this is okay. I don't know that I want to deal with it right now. And now you got full on cancer. And they've allowed this to infiltrate their party. I don't know how you turn the clock back on this. What do they call themselves? MAGA group out
but it's
there.
weird because like Marjorie Taylor Greene supports McCarthy. And so like,
Well, she's
Lauren-
trying to cut a deal. I mean, her support, I would imagine, is as strong as, my will with a bowl of ice cream.
Well, she gets committee assignments under her deal.
Yeah.
That's the big thing for her.
Didn't she say something to the effect of when they were negotiating a couple of days ago, they didn't negotiate anything for me? Wasn't it something like that?
I didn't hear that.
Okay. I think she did, and I have to concede that I'm not entirely sure about that. But it almost felt like I realize there are a lot of people in Congress that are self-interested more than anything else, but it's really depressing to see it play out like this and prevent government from moving forward because there are so many self-interested people that don't want to do the jobs they've been assigned
and
to
we've
do.
turned them into celebrities and we've turned them into fundraising machines. And if that's your objective for being in office, and you're going to behave as they're behaving. If your objective for being in office is to legislate and try and make things better, then you don't engage in that kind of behavior.
But John, when it first came up, and we all knew it was bad, what these folks were up to when they first arrived on the scene, Kevin McCarthy was among the people who were like, hey, look, it serves my purpose in the end. So I'm going to go along with this stuff. And it started from my perspective on the Tea Party and has slowly, grown. And the circumstances of only having a 2-seat majority have a lot. Here's my prediction. Kevin McCarthy won't be the speaker, and whoever the speaker is going to be won't be the speaker. They'll have the title of the speaker, but they won't have the ability to do the job.
What does it say to you? Last night, Matt Gaetz was on the Laura Ingraham show, and he made the comment that if there is a coalition of Republicans that work with Democrats to find a moderate Republican speaker, that he will resign. What does that say to you when the majority of the country seems to want moderation from both parties? Wants Democratic moderates, wants Republican moderates. And here's this guy who says, if they do that, I am out.
Yeah, well, great. See you, bye. But here's the reality of everybody's calling the McCarthy people moderates.
They're not.
There are no moderate.
Yeah.
We used to have there's a handful. We used to have moderate Republicans. Heck, we used to have liberal Republicans. Go back to Jim Jeffords of Vermont, for example, Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania. Fairly recent history. They were liberal Republicans. We used to have conservative Democrats, Sam Nunn,
Joe Lieberman.
Those folks don't exist anymore. And so these 20 who are calling themselves the conservatives, just like in Jeff City, we had this group call themselves the Conservative Caucus. Well, the entire caucus is conservative. You may find one or two or a handful of moderates in the Liz Cheney is not a moderate. She was a conservative. And, I think there's been a lot of mislabeling going on out there. There's no such thing as a moderate House Speaker. If almost any member of that conference, if they were Speaker of the House, would be a conservative.
John, was it the Reagan administration, the moral majority? When did Republicanism / conservatism become so tightly aligned with the evangelical movement?
Yeah, it traces back to just before the election of Reagan, but certainly the ascendance of Jerry Falwell and the moral majority was a big part of that. And evangelicals had been voting, increasingly conservative, and on the cultural issues for certain, there was a commonness of purpose there.
I feel like that was such ultimately a bad thing to tie in somehow politics with religion, where I have friends who can't tell the difference now between like conservatism and like Christianity. Like they're the one and the same.
It's Christian nationalism.
Yes, it's not.
And that's,
it's so bad.
It's not healthy for the faith.
No.
Well, hey, as a Democrat who grew up in the Catholic Church, they bought into it too. I mean, I got the lectures when I was in school about, there was one issue that we should care about, abortion, and we should be with these Republicans. And we would look the other way when it comes to taking care of the poor, et cetera. I'm with you. I mean, the bastardization of religion and politics is just sickening.
The fact this whole process is taking as long as it is, and we don't really know if there's going to be a resolution today or in the next few days, whatever. Will this change how they operate once we finally do get going here? Because it seems like one of their biggest agenda items is to start Biden investigations, that sort of thing. Is that what we're headed to right away?
Sure, that's going to happen.
Okay.
And but when it comes time to deal with substantive policy matters, Michael mentioned the debt ceiling vote that's coming up later this year. The same fissure is going to exist, and when you've got a 4-seat majority, governing is very hard in the best of times. And it's going to be nearly impossible given this particular group of majority members.
Guys,
giddy up.
We love it when you're here.
We do.
Well, we love it.
We
when
wish
we're
you'd
here
stick
as well.
around longer, but I know you got to go play some snooker.
There's important things to take care of. Right?
Yes, I know.
We talk about his costume, and he uses the phrase "giddy up."
Wow.
Gonna get his cowboy hat.
He's a
Is that
new
your,
man.
Ball cleaner?
Huh? Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Is it?
His
Yeah.
balls were really clean.
Yeah,
yesterday
I
on
saw the
table.
photo. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it was spectacular.
It's pretty remarkable.
And he played very well with his clean
And
balls,
you,
I
as
can tell
did you.
Well, towards the end there.
Yeah.
But once we found out that McCarthy had failed on the 8th or 9th ballot, I wound up beating him like 4 or 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
Those snooker balls cleaner than most men's beards.
And
Hey,
there's no
now.
question
Great.
about that.
Awesome.
Yes.
John Hancock, Michael Kelly will be back with the Dave Glover Show later on today, and then we'll
Mhm.
see you guys next Friday.
You
All right,
bet.
then.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Amy Marks, Course, Chris Ronji, you're listening to KMOX. We'll tell you what's
Hey, did you see
trending.
this?
Hey, did you see this? Did you see this? That's coming up.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The St. Louis Women of Achievement Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area, whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. Nominations are currently open for the 2023 Women of Achievement. Nominate a woman who volunteers in the community and makes a difference in the lives of others. Or if you're one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 10th. Head to WOASTL.org.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Happy New Year on behalf of Zero Res. And they are celebrating the new year by giving you a great January deal. Get this, 23% off all of our services. Of course, carpet cleaning, pre-treated and Zero Res clean with the 30-day gotta love it guarantee, upholstery,
air ducts, anything that you need in your home that's going to make it more beautiful, more healthy, more livable for the winter months coming up. If your New Year's resolution has anything to do with just improving your home and improving your quality of life, which of course most of us do, check out Zero Res. We have a 4.9 rating on Google with over 4,300 reviews. Once again, big news. DGS special for January 2023 is 23% off all services. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Happy New Year.
Amy Mark Scores here for the Salvation Army Midland Division, celebrating 75 years of giving to the Tree of Lights in Greater St. Louis. This year, please give to my virtual red kettle at salarmy.us/Amy Mark Scores. The Tree of Lights is vital to supporting the work of the Salvation Army all year round. Let's support all those in need in Greater St. Louis. Reach within and join me by giving at salarmy.us/Amy Mark Scores. Every gift is precious, big or small.
Happy New Year from our friends at Zero Res 2023. Time to get your home Zero Resified with all the services at 23% off. You must book and clean in January. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com for 23% off all of our services.
Brought to you by General Steel. If you're a business owner, renting or leasing, you can save a ton of money and own a custom designed building made by General Steel. Just call 888-74-STEEL and get a quote today.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this.
The show on KMOX.
Amy and Chris, Mark Scores and Ranji. It is KMOX. Amy, did you see this? And it is very good news.
Okay.
As we continue to watch developments with Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills player who collapsed on the field Monday night in a game against Cincinnati. He had gone into cardiac arrest. They used the AED on him twice. He had been unconscious for a while, slowly starting to improve. Today, he FaceTimed with the team.
Wow.
They had a team meeting today, and he FaceTimed with them and said, "Love you, boys." So Damar Hamlin is improving. He is talking now. The tube is out. So that is very, very good news for him and his health. And the other bit of news regarding this, and we talked about this throughout the week. The game was suspended in the middle.
Yep.
So they didn't finish it. And there were some playoff implications as far as seeding goes, because the NFL playoffs are coming up, and this is the final week of the season this weekend. There was some talk that they might try to finish that game. Not this week,
right,
but might try to finish it after week 18. And there was no good reason to do that. It's not good for the players to make them play an extra game or half a game or whatever. It would have been so stupid and so perfectly NFL to make those guys go back out there and finish it, because they don't have to. They don't have to do it. They can figure out the playoff seeding without it. The good news is they did decide that game's just done. It's so they will play one less game, or there will be one less game in the records when the season is over. So very good decision. However they have reached the decision, it's a good one by the NFL.
Yeah. Now, again, not the important angle on this. Did they announce how they're going to handle it?
Yeah,
Did they
there's
say
a whole,
it's a tie.
There's a
point
whole
system?
thing that I don't want to get in the weeds and explain it because people don't care. But they do care about him, and they care about the health of the players. So that's it.
That's what they did.
Yep.
Also, the GoFundMe. Again, we talked about Damar Hamlin's toy drive GoFundMe that he set up a couple of years ago. He had made the initial goal $2,500. It is now at $7.8 million. But you can see who's donated, whether it was Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, like all of these players coming out. One of the more recent donations was for $25,003, and it just says from Jim Irsay and the Indianapolis Colts. Donated $25,003. A lot of the donations are adding the 3 on the end for Damar Hamlin's number.
A friend of mine passed away last year. Jeff Dickerson was a football reporter. He was an NFL reporter for ESPN and did a show on ESPN radio. And he had cancer. His wife a couple of years prior to that had also passed away from cancer. And they had one son, young kid who I think is 9 or he might be 11 now, somewhere in that range. He's a young kid, but now has lost both of his parents in the course of like 4 or 5 years. And a GoFundMe was set up for him. And the amount of people and a few $1 million came in for the kid. And every NFL team, owners, I think Irsay was one of them. But you just had so many people who respected the guy so much. They did that. And I think it's great in times like this when something bad happens to a person that a lot of people are willing to pull together and help out the family or help out the guy. What we know is that Damar Hamlin, he may never play again. And so that income stream for the rest of his life is now potentially gone. And he's very young. And he made a decent amount of money for an average person.
But not enough for a 24-year-old to live the rest of his life.
Who can't live the rest of his life on it and has a skill that none of us have.
Right.
An elite skill that he may never get to use again because of this.
Right.
So I just hope he is taken care of. Great for the charity, great for the toy drive. I hope he is taken care of now for the rest of his life. Let's get going. The 11 o'clock hour of the show. Amy Markers and Chris Ranji. That's coming up on KMOX.
I've been asked 1,000 times, did you plan on becoming the largest injury law firm in the world? And the answer is no. When I started, there were just 2 of us. Today, Morgan & Morgan has almost 800 lawyers alone. No injury firm in the country has anywhere close to that. We set out to be focused on our clients and to have a commitment to trying cases and winning. And when you have those results at trial, you're able to settle most of your cases quickly and fairly. Reputation matters. We grew like this because we worked hard and so many former clients referred family and friends. And what I believe is the main reason is we delivered for our clients a lot. Hard work and client satisfaction was our plan. It worked. Hope is not a plan. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee, which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120. Or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
KMOX, KECK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The legendary voice of St. Louis, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-5555. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, behind on taxes houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-5555. That's 314-782-5555.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 11 o'clock, it's a sunny sky and 40 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible.
Washington is marking the January 6th attack on the Capitol 2 years ago. Members of Congress gathering outside of the Capitol to honor and remember the officers who died and were injured during the riot. Families read the names of the officers who died during and after the attack.
Metropolitan Police Department officers Gunther Hashida, Kyle DeFreitag, and Jeffrey Smith.
Officer Billy Evans.
Representative Hakeem Jeffries led the ceremony on the steps.
We are gathered here to honor their memory and acknowledge with deep gratitude the tremendous bravery of the hundreds of officers who defended us at this citadel of democracy that fateful day.
The contours of a deal that could end the spectacle on the House floor are starting to emerge.
In 11 votes over 3 days, the House has been paralyzed, with GOP divisions keeping the chamber from electing a speaker. But there are glimmers of hope as he arrived at the Capitol today. Republican leader Kevin McCarthy told reporters, "We're going to shock you." McCarthy has given holdout conservatives and others a deal centering around rules changes that would shrink the speaker's power and give rank-and-file lawmakers more influence. Even if that's enough for McCarthy to win the gavel, it would leave him weakened and at the same time potentially emboldened after surviving a brutal fight. Sagar Magani, Washington.
The NFL player who collapsed during Monday night's game continues to make remarkable progress. CBS News correspondent Jim Krasula has the latest.
Buffalo Bills player Damar Hamlin is breathing on his own and able to talk after having a breathing tube removed, according to his agent. It comes 4 days after Hamlin went into cardiac arrest and was resuscitated on the field. The 24-year-old remains in critical condition at a Cincinnati hospital.
A born-again Catholic school is growing.
They say there's strength in numbers. Rosada Kane Academy is getting just that. Marie Casey is board vice chair of the all-girls high school. She says their donation pool is getting bigger.
That level of funding, 65%, is well beyond the level that Rosada Kane has enjoyed in January for the next school year.
Another good sign, the search for a new school president is underway. When asked if the new money put them at a place of no return,
we're definitely opening Rosada Kane Academy.
Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The KMOX business desk, Southwest takes a second look at the numbers.
The holiday travel meltdown driving Southwest Airlines to revise its financial outlook. Southwest believes the chaos costed as much as $825 million, leading to a fourth quarter loss. Southwest canceled more than 16,000 flights over the last 11 days of the year. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Steeples up 596 points to 33,526. We've got a crash on 270 West at Washington. We've got a stalled vehicle 270 East at McDonald. The left lane is closed. Stall 70 East at Adelaide on the right shoulder, and 270 South at Dorset on the right shoulder.
KMOX AccuWeather, it's going to be mostly sunny, seasonably chilly, upper 40s this afternoon, then a shower around later tonight. Some steadier rain pockets at times tomorrow will be in the mid-40s. Colder, and can rule out some rain or snow showers on Sunday with a high near 40. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Justine DeVore, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
At the moment, it's a sunny sky, 38 in Florissant, 39 in St. Peters, and 40 downtown at the Arch. Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Equip your home with a furnace AC combo from Jerry Kelly for just $187 a month with approved credit, minus what you'll save on your energy bill, of course. A whole system, just $187 a month for a limited time at
JerryKelly.com.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than $4? 314-441-4444.
Chris Ranji, Amy Mark scores on the show. And well, over in Washington, D.C., there's chaos in the House as Kevin McCarthy has failed on, I think it's 9 votes now to be Speaker of the House. But over in Jefferson City, Congress is in session. The Missouri State Legislature started their session this week, and we go to Emily Manley, the chief Capitol reporter for Fox 2, among other news stations in Jefferson City. Emily, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Of course. Good morning.
So it's nice to hear that I guess some legislatures are rolling right along as we enter 2023. A bunch of bills being considered by the legislators in Jefferson City. And let's start with one that is proposed by Peter Meredith. This is on background checks for firearm transfers and a permit to conceal and carry a gun. I know gun laws have been a big topic of discussion nationally, but also in Missouri after the recent school shooting here in St. Louis. What kind of support is Representative Meredith getting for that bill?
I want to say that I think this topic as a whole, this session is going to be split down party lines. This past week when we had a press conference after the first day with House leadership, it doesn't sound like they are in any sort of discussion of putting any stricter gun laws in place. The new House Speaker, Dean Plocher, who's from the St. Louis County area, pretty much said that they want to focus more on prosecuting and making sure that police they're doing their job. He didn't technically push it down altogether, but it doesn't sound like stricter gun laws are anywhere in the Republican eye for this upcoming session. Same in the House, same in the Senate, where they aren't talking about any gun laws. So I think that is going to be something that goes straight down party lines. I'm not sure come May we're going to have any different gun laws on the books here in Missouri. If anything, we're going to see prosecutors being possibly given more tools, or even police officers. But I don't see any gun laws passing and getting to Governor Mike Parson's desk come the end of May.
I mean, it's a little disappointing because you'd kind of hope they'd want to prevent gun crimes from happening before they happen, instead of waiting until they do happen and then punish people because people have already died or been injured or whatever. I don't know. That's me right now editorializing, but I think it's ridiculous. Anyway, so you're saying like the bill from David Tyson Smith, the purchasing of fully automatic weapons from kids or people under 20 years old, that's not going to go anywhere either?
I'm not saying that, we're so early in the session, but of the questions that we asked leadership in both the House and the Senate this week, it doesn't seem like any gun laws are even in the future even being discussed. I'm not saying that they won't make it to committee, because most of those bills do make it to committee, and it will be a big headline, I guarantee you, when it does make it to committee. But I do not see it making its way any farther than committee. And I think that something that we can see happening is the fact that they believe that prosecutors aren't doing their job. There's actually legislation that is filed this year to turn the St. Louis City Police Department over from local control to state control. Kansas City already has something like that in place. And so I think that they want to possibly make it so that they oversee prosecutors and police departments a little bit more than doing anything about gun laws. And I think that it could be a topic of conversation, but if I was a betting person, I would say that at the end of session, we're not going to have any sort of stricter gun law in place come May.
And I'm guessing that also means no revisiting of House Bill 85, which is the Second Amendment Preservation Act. You mentioned how the legislators want to focus on prosecuting criminals, but some of that is also enabling law enforcement to do their job. Has there been any discussion about how the Second Amendment Preservation Act inhibits police officers from doing a job?
The only person that has talked about that this week is the Senate Minority Leader, John Rizzo. He made a point yesterday to say that, the Republicans want to focus on prosecutors and police officers, but this prohibits them. Just as you said, Amy, it prohibits them from being able to use these national databases. And I think that, when we said something to House leadership, one reporter asked on Wednesday to new House Speaker Dean Plocher, he said, it's not out of the question that we won't revisit it. And when you asked, what does that mean? There wasn't really an answer there. So I'm not saying that won't be a topic of conversation this session, But I think the whole conversation of gun laws as a whole is something that Democrats are going to bring up constantly, and House and Senate leadership in the Republican Party is just going to kind of push it to the wayside. They seem a lot more interested in talking about giving money back to Missourians with the $6 billion surplus that the state has. They also talk a lot more about initiative petition reform, which is, how voters approved medical and recreational marijuana and also Medicaid expansion. Those seem to be the big priorities for the Republican Party, even though we did have the shooting in St. Louis City just this past fall. And you'd think that it would be a little bit more upfront when it comes to gun laws, but it doesn't seem like that is anywhere near getting to the governor's desk, at least this early in session.
Talking with Emily Manley right now on KMOX about the Missouri legislative session that's now starting in the new year. Moving on to abortion-related laws, we know what happened with the Supreme Court last year, and as a result, there have been a flood of laws that have passed around the country and people trying to revise them or add to what's already existing. There are a few that are at least related to abortion and fertility that are coming up.
Yeah, there are. And actually, the House Minority Leader, Crystal Quade, filed legislation this week, actually, that would take Missouri back to what it was like before that law passed in 2019, that pretty much put Missouri, it was like the right to life for the unborn act. That was in 2019, which changed abortion in the state of Missouri from being allowed up to 22 weeks after conception to 8 weeks. And she wants to take it back to 22 weeks. And that's been actually a big topic here in the Missouri State House. I don't see abortion coming up at all this session. Mary Elizabeth Coleman, who was elected to the Senate, she was actually kind of the co-founder of that bill in 2019. She has said herself, there's no more to be done in the state of Missouri. It's illegal, and that's pretty much it. I will say, though, there has been talk and rumors in the state of Missouri in the state house that initiative petition, as I talked about, Republicans believe it's too easy to amend the state's constitution. And House Minority Leader Crystal Quade did make it known this week that there is some sort of referendum that is being done, that they're trying to come to the forefront here of putting abortion on the ballot for Missourians to vote on in 2024. So let's break that down a little bit more here. That Republicans want to make it harder to put a question on the ballot. They want to possibly make it, where you have to get more signatures or even increase the fee of getting a question on the ballot. And part of that is they're kind of worried about the abortion topic here, where they don't want that question to make the ballot in 2024. So, I think that that's something we definitely need to be watching over not only this session, but absolutely the next 2 years. While I don't think much will be done about abortion this upcoming session, I think that is the pathway that we need to watch to see if there is a question that goes on the ballot in 2024 for Missourians to vote on if abortion should become legal again in the state of Missouri.
There's a bill being proposed by Representative Greg Razor, and it is to exclude the use of birth control to prevent pregnancy from the definition of abortion in state law. Is that preemptive, or under state law is birth control considered abortion, or can it be?
Under state law, I have asked this question multiple times to the state's health department and also the governor and even some lawyers. That is something that is not, let me make sure that I'm explaining this the right way. Birth control is not considered abortion in the state of Missouri. And that has been said by the governor. It has been said by the health department. I think what Senator Razor is doing is just wants to make sure that if anything else, when it comes to maybe Plan B or any sort of other contraceptives are brought up, he doesn't want to make sure that birth control is banned in the state of Missouri. But the state has come forward and said, you know what, as of now, birth control is not affected by that Right to Life for the Unborn Act that passed in 2019.
So Plan B, morning after, that stuff is separate from birth control, considered separate.
Right now, technically, Plan B and birth control fall under the same title. It's super confusing, and it's one of those things where you have to be super careful how you explain it. Mm-hmm. As of right now, all of those things are open in the state of Missouri. But Republican leadership some people in the Republican Party have said they want to go ahead and ban Plan B. And what Greg Razor wants to make sure of with his legislation is that if that does pass at any point, that birth control is not affected, because right now in the state of Missouri, Plan B falls under the same topic category as birth control. I hope that makes sense. Like I said, it's super confusing. And so Greg Razor wants to make sure that if the Republican Party does come through and block Plan B at any point, birth control is not affected. But right now, Plan B, birth control, contraceptives as a whole are not affected in the state of Missouri.
And I know we talked about the different bills, one being that a Class B felony to import, export, distribute, or deliver abortion-inducing drugs. And the bill is hoping to make it a Class B felony for those who are importing, exporting, or distributing the drugs, not the person seeking it. And I saw this was also confusing, because then would they be going after the U.S. Postal Service and delivery people who may not know what they're delivering? I don't understand how this would work.
Amy, I'm so glad that it's not only confusing to me as a political reporter that reads these bills, because I ask these questions too. And I think and let me start with this. At the beginning of session, we have thousands of bills that are filed, and there's only a select few that make it to committee. And then you narrow it down even more to what makes it to the floor and what is passed and sent to the governor's desk. And that is so confusing. I think the most important thing that I want to talk about here before I get into the weeds of that bill, because it is confusing, and to anybody that reads it, at the end of the day, you go, wait, does that mean the U.S. Postal Service is involved in this? Because that is how I read it too. But I think the most important thing is the people that had that 2019 bill put into place, the Right to Life of the Unborn Act. I think it all goes back to that. The people that started that bill, Nick Schroer, who is now a senator, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, who is also now a senator, they're pretty much at the point where they're saying, you know what? We have it banned in the state of Missouri. The talk is not there right now. I think them saying that is a really big part. And so I don't know if that bill, when it comes to contraceptives being sent through the mail, is going to go anywhere. But I will tell you that I am even confused. And if that bill goes to committee, I am going to be studying and reading through the night to make sure that I understand it. I wish I had a better explanation. But with so many bills filed right now, I feel like as a reporter, as a Missourian, it's just overwhelming. So I don't have the best answer for you right now, Amy, and I wish I did.
Well,
no, that's helpful.
Yeah,
I don't feel alone.
Good luck, Emily.
Pretty
Have a
much.
nice
Welcome
time.
to the next 5 months.
Yeah, have a nice time. We'll check back in with you. We'll see if you're still awake. We'll check back in with you. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course, anytime. And we'll see what the next 4 months bring here in the state of Missouri. And luckily, I will say real quick that unlike last year, they had that congressional map that hung up everything. One of the least amount of bills ever passed in the state last year. And so it'll be interesting to see what is done this session.
Emily Manley, Missouri Capitol Bureau Chief for Fox 2, many other outlets around the state as well. We appreciate your time today, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Have a great weekend.
All right. So it sounds like a lot of fun to cover.
And those bills are hard to understand when you read through them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're deliberately written to obfuscate what the point is.
Yes. Yeah. And I think in particular with the abortion issue, this is what reproductive rights people were worried about last year when the Supreme Court did what it did, is that there's so much confusion with individual states, not all of them, but a number of them, and what means what. Is this abortion? Is Plan B? Is contraception? And none of that is written in, so it has to be now. Everything has to be clearly defined so that people don't have to worry about getting into trouble.
Yeah. And I will say, you know how Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook said, move fast and break things? I feel like that's how a lot of legislators are when it comes to proposing bills, especially when it came to birth control and reproductive rights, where you had legislators proposing things that they didn't know what it meant from a medical perspective, because there were a few that had to back off a little bit and say, oh, well, I didn't realize. Well, you're passing laws, so you should realize before you push for a bill that could really compromise someone's health.
That's Amy Marks Kors. I'm Chris Ranji. You're listening to KMOX.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE, regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Paramount Men's Medical Center. And for a limited time, your initial consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now, 314-720-8081.
Last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of phone calls for second opinions, which they turned out very good for the homeowners in St. Louis and Illinois. And let me tell you why. The majority of people, overwhelming majority of people, let's just say if I had 50 people call and they were told their furnace was bad, I think maybe like 2-3 people had a bad furnace. Keep calling. Don't panic. You have time. We can get to you. If you're without heat and you are told that you need a new furnace, don't worry, don't fret, don't overspend. Don't make a spur of the moment decision because of the weather. Worst thing in the world any of us can do as buyers is make a decision that fast. Call me. It's one easy number. Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am Hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Shop limited time deals at the Truckload event at Lowe's, happening now. Save big on your favorites across the store. During this event, get up to 50% off select tools and accessories. Plus, find the perfect floor tile for your home for less. Get up to 50% off select styles while you can. Head to your local Lowe's store or visit Lowes.com to shop the Truckload event today. Valid 12/29 through 1/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowes.com for details. Discount taken at time of purchase.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Happy New Year on behalf of Zero Res. And they are celebrating the new year by giving you a great January deal. Get this, 23% off all of our services. Of course, carpet cleaning, pre-treated and Zero Res clean with the 30-day gotta love it guarantee, upholstery, air ducts, anything that you need in your home that's going to make it more beautiful, more healthy, more livable for the winter months coming up. If your New Year's resolution has anything to do with just improving your home and improving your quality of life, which of course most of us do, check out Zero Res. We have a 4.9 rating on Google with over 4,300 reviews. Once again, big news. DGS special for January 2023 is 23% off all services. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Happy New Year.
Serving St. Louis for over 96 years. KMOX.
Amy and Chris on KMOX. Good morning to you all. If you're just tuning in, you can listen to us on the Odyssey app. You can listen on 98.7 FM, 1120 AM, of course, KMOX.com. And then when the show is over, everything is podcasted. So whatever you missed, go back and listen to it and make us all very happy.
And it's podcasted hour by hour, and even like
break
great
it down.
topics are highlighted. So it's very easy to listen and enjoy the show.
It's like the easiest thing in the whole wide world.
Pretty easy. You know what? It's easier than being elected Speaker of the House.
Oh, so the vote is about to happen. Kevin McCarthy has been nominated again.
12th vote?
12th vote.
I feel like I missed a few. I feel like it was 9. I missed a few.
Hakeem Jeffries has been nominated again. He's been getting, I think, most of the votes. What I heard this morning, that he has now gotten the most votes ever in the history of Speaker of the House. Speaker votes.
Has he?
Well, because they voted 11 times.
You know what I would do? I would wear a different outfit for every vote, like a hat, put on a scarf, and then I would become a thing in the House. Every vote, like, oh, she's wearing a purple hat. Oh, she's wearing a green scarf or
Change your tie.
sunglasses. Change your tie.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're missing out on an opportunity since this is all
Or-
about showboating and grandstanding.
Or
Yeah.
an animal costume.
Mm.
You know, I on New Year's Day,
Yeah.
I was in Chicago, went up, for the holiday, and we went and did a little daytime activity, and walking down the street.
Is that a
of-
euphemism?
What?
A daytime activity? Or
It's
are you
not
just
that
saying?
No, you're
are
out
you
and
just saying
about.
you did something?
We're out and about.
Gotcha.
Partaking. And walking down the streets, and there was this one bar with a huge line, and it's like, I don't know, 2:00 or something. And everybody in line is wearing an animal onesie.
Like
Everybody.
furries?
I guess. I don't know. It was like I saw a tiger. I saw a monkey.
Did they seem to be laughing? Like, oh, this is ironic and funny, or were they genuinely dressed as animals?
I'm sure it was an ironic, funny thing, but you never know.
You never know. Because some people, that's their thing.
I do know that there are some places that will have a New Year's Day party, and it's like a pajama thing. Because it's like, hey, New Year's Eve was the night before. We're all going to go out on New Year's Day. Just show up in your pajamas. Like, that's the whole thing. But this particular place must have had an animal party.
Well, I'm not against it unless it's, serious.
And that's what I said, because I was going to go meet some friends in there, and I saw the line, and I said, I am not waiting in this line.
Yeah.
I don't do lines.
And the first weekend, I think it's the first weekend of December on Beale Street in Memphis, they have a Santa bar crawl. And there are hundreds.
They have one in Wisconsin in Madison. I've seen it before. Like
hundreds and hundreds of Santas.
Yes.
And then some people dress as elves, like the vast majority, 80% Santas, maybe 85% Santas. But then also like the characters from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and elves and everything else. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I mean, Beale Street is hopping, and it's just so many Santa Clauses.
Yeah, I've never been. Oh, actually, I have. I think I just kind of passed through Memphis on the way to New Orleans, and we stopped at some restaurant to eat. It wasn't the Rendezvous Cafe everybody talks about, but everybody says Memphis is a lot of fun. Nashville clearly has become a huge weekend spot, a vacation spot, bachelorette party kind of spot. I'm amazed at how Nashville has just totally blown up in the last 25 years.
Okay, I will say this was a wrong number story from the Santa bar crawl. I think it was 10 years ago. It was before I worked here, and I had Tom Ackerman's phone number because I had been on as a guest because for my books, I had written a book, and so I was interviewed as a guest. So I, was not familiar with the KMOX crew. And if you're going to not familiar, meaning I didn't know them personally, other than I had met them professionally. And I texted my friend with the same name at like midnight of all of us out there with our beers, with this entire group of dressed up Santas and all of that, accidentally texted Tom Ackerman at midnight.
At least you didn't text an ex. That's the worst time to text an ex.
But then I was like, oh my
accident.
gosh, Mr. Ackerman, I'm so sorry.
Mr. Ackerman. Oh my God. It's the news, and then it's the draft. It is the Friday draft coming up. Biggest losers in history. That's what we're drafting when we come back on KMOX.
Save the date.
January 26th at the Wildy Theater in Edwardsville.
It's the DGS Live, a night of comedy and music.
It's an absolute riot. All the stories I tell on the air that you guys love, I tell the real ones. I don't have to be FCC friendly.
Tickets are on sale now.
$60 for VIP.
Which gets you floor seating, a pre-show VIP meet and greet with a DGS, and more.
Regular tickets, which are $30. We should have charged more.
The DGS Live.
January 26th.
For tickets or more info, KMOX.com/events.
The sounds of the holiday season. This is Debbie Monterey for the Audiology Center. Don't let your holiday with family and friends be ruined because you can't quite follow the conversation. Get your hearing checked today with Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. And if you need some help, Dr. Bosler has the top line of hearing aids to make sure that you are hearing things crystal clear this holiday season. With 3 locations in St. Peter's, Creve Coeur, and Florissant, the Audiology Center, STL.com. Call 636-441-7470.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Join host Steve All Saturday mornings at 10, right here on KMOX.
At 11:30, it's sunny and 41 degrees downtown at the Arch. It's a 12th vote for House Speaker underway. Nominations so far, Republican Kevin McCarthy, of course, and Democrat Hakeem Jeffries, and Matt Gaetz is now speaking.
First, he said that Mr. McCarthy has earned the position. You only earn the position of Speaker of the House if you can get the votes. Mr. McCarthy doesn't have the votes today. He will not have the votes tomorrow. And he will not have the votes next week, next month, next year.
And it appears that Matt Gaetz has just nominated Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin's agent says the player is breathing on his own and is able to talk after having his breathing tube removed. It comes 4 days after he went into cardiac arrest and was resuscitated on the field. America's employers added a solid 223,000 jobs in December, evidence that the economy remains healthy even as the Federal Reserve is rapidly raising interest rates to try to slow economic growth and the pace of hiring. We've got a vehicle fire 55 north before Richardson Road. The right lane is closed. We've got a stall 70 east on the ramp from State 70. We've got a stall 270 east at McDonald. The left lane is closed. A crash 270 west at Washington. And the forecast from Dean DeVore this afternoon, sunny and chilly with a high 47 degrees. Clouds tonight with a shower in some places, the low 35 degrees. For tomorrow, cloudy with a little bit of rain and a high of 46 degrees. Right now, it's a sunny sky and 41 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Broadcasting from the Underline Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
If you're a business owner with 5 or more employees and you managed to survive the past couple of years, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. Here's how you do it. Go to getrefunds.com, getrefunds.com. And to find out if your business qualifies, click on Qualify Me and then answer a few questions. You may be eligible even if your business took PPP, even if you are a nonprofit, or you saw an increase in sales. The team at getrefunds.com can help you out. I know it can be a little bit confusing when you start looking through taxes and making sure you can cut through the red tape and make sure that your business gets the refund money that's available to it. Well, the team of tax attorneys that they've put together at getrefunds.com, they're highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. They've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. Now, this payroll tax refund program is only available for a limited amount of time, so you don't want to miss out. Go to getrefunds.com.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Don't forget about the environment when making New Year's resolutions. This year, resolve to recycle more. Recycle paper, bottles, and cans. Reuse paper and plastic bags, and get a reusable bag for groceries. Recycle old clothes by donating them to charity. And recycle old electronics like TVs, computers, and cell phones at appropriate e-waste facilities. When we each share our one thing, it becomes 100 things, 1,000 things, 1,000,000 things for our planet. What's your one thing?
It's a Sports Day Saturday on KMOX at 2 men's Billikens basketball action as they take on St. Bonaventure. Right after that game, it's Chiefs football as they play the Vegas Raiders. Then Saturday night, the playoffs are on the line when Jacksonville hosts Tennessee. Catch all the games this Saturday on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
The show and the draft.
The draft.
Building the perfect team.
I love the draft.
It's the draft.
More draft.
On the show.
Hey, it's the draft. It's Friday.
Yeah.
Aren't you excited? We haven't done a Friday draft in a while.
That's
You've
because
been out.
you took
I've been
off
out.
like 7 weeks.
You were gone for 9 years.
I've never even met you before. Okay. I'm excited about this week's draft.
Right,
It's
ready
an
to do the
honor.
draft?
It's an honor of Kevin McCarthy, who's about to lose his 12th vote
For Speaker of the House.
for Speaker of the House.
He is 0-11.
In fact, Matt Gaetz just said he won't win today. He won't win tomorrow. He won't win in a month, and he won't win in a year. So it does look like he's going to lose this one.
You know, it's almost like It's almost like going up to a door that's locked
Huh?
and pulling the handle on the locked door and realizing, oh, this door's locked. But then you pull on it again. And then you pull on it again.
How many times do you, out of habit, I'm not saying out of reason or because you're smart or anything like that, how many times out of habit do you pull on a locked door?
Twice, sometimes 3 if I think it's a stubborn door and not really locked.
So my problem is I'm the person that like will pull on the door, and if it doesn't budge, I really should give it a second go.
Yeah, you should.
But I just assume it's locked.
Right.
I'm like, oh, well, that's locked. And they're like, no, it's not. Yeah.
Because if you don't, it just means you gave up too early.
That's exactly right, which is,
Okay.
that's me.
All right, let's do the drafts.
Did we announce what it is?
We are drafting losers in history.
The biggest
And it
losers.
could be sports, it could be politics, it could be real life, it could
Yep.
be anything. Here we go. Amy, I'm going to allow you to pick
I was going to
first.
say you go first.
You want me to go first?
I do.
All right. My number 1 pick in the biggest losers draft. So we're
Mhm.
taking the biggest losers ever.
In history. Everything.
In history.
Politics, sports, music.
King George III.
Oh, that's a pretty big one.
I'm
Okay.
taking King George III, who
Mhm.
lost a bunch of colonies
hmm
to a bunch of colonists.
Which ones? I think there were 13.
There were 13 of them.
And he lost all 13.
Lost all 13 colonies.
Wow.
That's a massive lead
Yeah.
to give up.
I
You
mean,
know?
if you lost 5,
Well, I mean, I
but he
feel like
lost all 13 colonies.
you're right. He
Yeah.
lost every single colony
Yeah.
that he had.
Can you imagine? He going back to his mom. And
I know.
Like, listen, I lost you lost all the colonies, George? All
Ah.
13?
I don't know how to. His mom was probably dead. I don't know how to tell you this.
Yeah.
But you remember that those
Yeah. I
colonies?
gave you a
had?
baker's dozen. I gave you a baker's dozen of colonies.
I lost them all.
You lost all of them,
Yep.
George, at once?
Yeah. I didn't know.
Unbelievable.
I didn't know they had guns
Muskets.
and cannons. All right. So King George III, number 1 overall pick.
My number 1 overall pick is General Custer.
Oh, you went with Custer?
Yeah.
Oh, the Battle of Little Bighorn.
It didn't go well for General Custer.
That guy really blew it, didn't he?
I feel bad for him, though. He was played by Bill Hader in Night at the Museum, and he's
Oh.
obsessed with his hair.
I've not seen it.
It's actually like, I mean, A Night at the Museum with Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, Hank Azaria, Bill Hader, and he's just like brushing his hair, and he's like, my hair is currency in some parts of Europe.
I have to tell you about General George Custer. I do
Yeah.
remember doing a paper. I think I wrote a paper on him in grade school.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost feels like he had it coming. You know what I mean?
Well, probably.
But anyway, so General George Custer is your number 1 pick.
Okay.
So my number 2 pick,
Yep.
this is number 3 overall. Let's go with the Washington Generals,
Oh, very nice.
whose record is somewhere in the range of 3 and 19,000. They have lost somewhere in the range of about 19 to 20,000 games. There's no way of telling, but they've won 3 times.
Wow.
So the Washington Generals, who are consistently losing to the Harlem Globetrotters, who we had a couple in studio a couple of weeks ago. Remember? The Globetrotters came in.
Mm-hmm.
Amy spun a basketball. She didn't do it very well. So in that day, on
Yeah.
that day, you were a loser. But
Okay.
all right. Anyway, Washington Generals, my number 2 pick. What is your number 2, number 4 overall in this draft?
Jared from Subway.
Oh my God. Bless him. What the hell?
Should I not have picked that?
Well, it's too late now. Oh my God.
I feel bad
What in
now.
the hell?
He's a loser. He's in
He
jail.
did. That guy had the world. He had the world, man. He was a nobody.
I know.
And he lost a bunch of weight from eating fast food. And he lost all of that because he was a creep.
Yeah, he's a horrible, horrible human.
Jared from Subway. Oh my God. You were a horrible person.
I am not. I'm saying, look at this loser.
My God. I can't believe you said that.
Is it bad?
No, it's fine. Hey, it's fine.
Okay.
It's whatever's in your heart. All right. My number 3 pick in the loser draft.
Yeah.
This is number 5 overall.
Okay.
I am going to go with Robert E. Lee.
Okay. Yeah,
He also had it coming.
he did.
Screw that guy. What a loser. And he's losing statues. He's such a loser. He lost a war.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
He lost there's the succession that happens. He tries to form his own. Well, he didn't try to form his own country. And he lost the war.
Yeah.
Robert E. Lee.
Mine is equally as momentous, and that my third overall pick is Milli Vanilli.
Also had the world on a string.
Yeah. Yeah.
Milli Vanilli. For people who don't know, Milli Vanilli was a pop
duo.
group,
A duo.
pop duo in the early 1990s. I think it might have been like 90 or 91.
Mhm.
They were very popular.
Mhm.
Blame It on the Rain.
Blame it on the rain that was falling.
Yep, that's them. And
Blame
turned
it
out they
on the
weren't
stars.
actually on the album. They didn't
shine
sing
that
any of
night.
those songs.
Well, what's funny is on the album, there's no accent, but if you talked to Milli Vanilli, the duo, they didn't speak English very well. They had heavy, was it German accents? Were they German
I
or
don't
something? Yeah. And then that was what tipped off a reporter that, hey, wait a minute.
I think everybody has the same accent when they sing. I don't think there's
Well,
much of a difference.
I agree, but somehow this reporter, even before they ran off stage,
Mhm.
this reporter was suspicious.
Yeah.
All right, who's your fourth overall pick?
All right. Well, so this is my number 4 pick. It would be number 7 overall in our loser draft.
Mhm.
Blockbuster.
Oh, but see, I like Blockbuster.
I love Blockbuster. When's the last time you seen a Blockbuster? You haven't, because there aren't any.
That's true.
And they thought the whole Netflix DVD thing was nonsense. Like, people aren't going to do that. Well, guess what? You really screwed it on that one.
Yeah.
Sorry, Blockbuster. Nobody goes to the video store anymore because there aren't any. But by the way, I loved going to the video store. I kind of liked the act of going in
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
hunting for the movie you wanted. It may or may not have been in there.
Well, and the new movies had the puffy VHS cases
Yeah.
versus the cardboard where
That's
you
right.
just slide the
That's right.
VHS in and out.
There was no greater thrill than going into a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about this before, but it's worth repeating. Going into a Blockbuster, looking for the movie on the shelf you want, and it's not there. They just don't have it in. And then you go up to the front on your way out, and there's the stack of movies that have been returned but not placed on the shelf just yet.
Yep.
And it's in that
It's in that
stack.
stack.
Oh, God, that was like
Because
finding gold.
There's no greater agony than when you would go to Blockbuster and see the movie and it was the empty generic Blockbuster case because all the movies had been rented out.
Yes.
That was sad.
All right, Amy, number 8 overall. This is your
1, 2,
4th
3,
pick
4,
in
yep.
the loser draft.
Napoleon.
Okay, Napoleon.
The guy lost huge at Waterloo.
He lost twice.
Yeah.
Loses at Waterloo.
Yeah.
Lost the height battle, too.
He did. And then he was exiled.
And now for the rest of his existence,
Yeah. You were going to say life, weren't you?
his life, because he's dead. But anybody who's known as a short pain in the ass has a Napoleon complex.
That's right.
Like, it's named after you.
Yeah. As opposed to being a tall jerk, which is a Ranji complex.
You damn right. All right.
Who's your 5th overall pick?
My 5th pick, I got 2 here that I really like.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go with this one. This is actually a collection of losers.
Okay.
The 1929 United States.
Oh my gosh. And you got mad at me for Subway Jared.
Hey, we lost huge, man.
Yeah.
Stock market
That
crashed
is
in
a big one.
1929.
United States.
I mean, is there any bigger loser than us in the 20s?
I think so.
1929?
I'm going with a group of people as well.
All right, who are you going with? Your number 5
The
pick.
2007 Patriots. The 2007 New England Patriots.
Okay.
The perfect season. Wah, wah.
Well, I mean, I don't agree with the pick just because I don't know. I don't know about this one.
Because you don't have whatever. Ronch, just
I don't know about this pick.
yeah.
It's
I think
okay.
it's a great
You can
pick.
have it.
It's a
All
great
right.
pick.
Do you want to do a bonus pick or not?
Sure.
I will do my one bonus pick here.
Okay.
This is number 6.
Okay.
And this one is almost going to sound like a contradiction because I just chastised you. The 90s Bills, the Buffalo Bills,
Yeah.
who went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost them all.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to call a team that goes to the Super Bowl a loser
Yeah.
because they went to the Super Bowl. But to go 4 times in a row.
But you're always known for having lost.
Yeah.
You know who my bonus pick is?
Nope.
The agony of defeat guy. That's what he's known for. The guy in the sports, the skier who crashes.
Oh, I don't know who that one is.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How do you not know who the agony of defeat guy is?
I don't know who the agony of defeat guy is.
The Wide World of Sports.
The Wide World of Sports.
The skier.
On ABC?
Yeah.
I thought the agony of defeat was the guy who is the gymnast who's running down the thing and he's about to do the horse, that jumps over the vault. Oh, the vault. They call it the vault. And he slams right into the front of it with his chest. I thought that was the agony of defeat guy.
Let's see.
No,
Nope, it's a skier. Yeah,
the
it's a skier.
agony.
It's the skier?
He's they were doing the ski jump, the alpine
Yep.
jump or
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
He slid and fell off the end of it.
The agony of defeat guy. All right.
Because that's his name.
So-
Is there a bigger loser than the agony of defeat guy? Nobody even knows his name. It's Vinko, by the way.
Nobody knows his name, and within 1 second you say it's guy's name.
Yeah.
All right, so here is the loser draft. The teams are, I went with King George III,
Yep.
the Washington Generals, Robert E. Lee,
Yep.
Blockbuster,
Mm-hmm.
the 1929 United States, and the 90s Buffalo Bills. Amy's team was General George Custer, Jared from Subway, Milli Vanilli, Napoleon, the 07 Patriots, and the agony of defeat guy. Okay.
That's so good.
That's our loser draft
Oh.
in honor of Kevin McCarthy, who is probably going to lose another
Poor Kevin.
Speaker of the House
Poor Kevin.
election today. All right. So I think we really did it this time.
I think this.
Hey, there's some sad news to tell you about.
Oh.
And we'll tell you about it when we come back. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji on KMOX.
When you need to know what's happening, it's time to get in the huddle.
You're fraudulent. You're not in the business of winning football games. You're in the business of trying to prove your own asinine decisions correct. We can talk about the Irsay thing. Do I think the Saturday thing is the biggest joke in the history of the NFL? I do. But at least he was willing to say, this ain't working for me. I don't care that I just gave him extension.
Listen to In the Huddle, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
We don't want you on our team. You're too slow and fat.
This is weight bias.
Don't you care how you look?
Those with the serious disease called obesity face weight bias every day
You're not the right fit for this job.
and blame themselves.
I wish I was different.
Weight bias hurts.
Let's stop weight bias.
Be part of the solution. Go to stopweightbias.com, a public service message from Obesity Action Coalition.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
Did you get a call or message that mentioned Social Security that made you feel threatened or scared? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, press you for personal information, or demand instant payment. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Don't fall for it. Hang up, ignore them. Report this criminal activity to oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The St. Louis Women of Achievement Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area, whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. Nominations are currently open for the 2023 Women of Achievement. Nominate a woman who volunteers in the community and makes a difference in the lives of others. Or if you're one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 10th. Head to WOASDL.org. If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com.
Reel in the big one at the best fishing expo in the Midwest, the Let's Go Fishing Show on January 6th through 8th at Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. Visit vendors with the latest fishing boats, rods, reels, tackle, accessories, resorts, and guided services. Shop unique, one-of-a-kind items and top-of-the-line marine electronics at discount prices. Attend free seminars. Meet pro anglers Bassmaster Elite Series Pro Brandon Palaniuk and many more. Free fishing pond. Visit letsgoshows.com for coupons and more info.
By now, you've heard all of our ads. America's largest injury law firm. It means that when you hire us, you get a legal army. When it comes to law, size matters. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Is your bank, brokerage, or your insurance company telling you to buy an annuity? They may have limited access to the best rates available. You need solutions, not someone pitching you a specific product. Call for your complimentary retirement and income book at 844-513-SAFE. That's 844-513-7233. And also join me, Ben Coons, for the Retirement and Income Radio Show, heard here every Saturday at 3 p.m. on KMOX Radio.
Are you concerned about higher taxes, soaring inflation, and what's next for the stock market? Don't miss Your Retirement Professors this Saturday afternoon at 1 on St. Louis's News Radio, KMOX.
Hi, this is Ken.
And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Home Sweet Home mission is to give underserved families a sense of pride and to improve the quality of their lives by providing basic household furnishings. To learn more, go to homesweethomestl.org.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
Dude, I'm here for the show. What show?
St. Louis, this is your show.
The show.
The show on KMOX.
314-436-7900 if you want to tell us your loser. If you were gonna pick a loser in a draft, number one overall, who would it be? Biggest loser in history. It could be a team, player, politician, company,
Should we
celebrity,
go over?
person. Yeah, here was our teams. I'll
You
do it again.
yours, I'll do mine.
So I went with King George III, Washington Generals, Robert E. Lee, Blockbuster, 1929 United States, and the 90s Buffalo Bills.
And I went with General George Custer, Jared from Subway, Milli Vanilli, Napoleon, the 2007 Patriots, and the Agony of Defeat guy.
So what we'll do is on our Twitter account at the show KMOX, we're going to put up a Twitter poll. You can vote for the team you think is the best loser team. And we are doing this because Kevin McCarthy is trying to be elected Speaker of the House. Vote number 12 over the course of the last 4 days is underway, and he's already lost this vote.
He
So
did pick up 5 new votes
he
so far.
picked up 5 new votes so far, but he's already lost too many votes to be able to reach the 218 mark. So
Well.
he's not gonna be it. People have texted us.
Oh, let's hear.
A couple of things. Let's see about the agony of defeat guy.
Yeah.
The agony of defeat guy from a 314 did not even know he was the agony of defeat guy for a long period of time.
Oh, no. That makes it sadder.
He's not from America.
Yeah, his name is...
And he wasn't aware the wide world of sports used him in their intro.
Can you imagine, Ranj, there's a show, and it's all about broadcasting, and there's a scene in the opening montage of a really stupid broadcaster to show just how stupid some broadcasters are, and it's you. And then you're like, wait a minute, how long has this been going on? You're the stupid, you're known in France as the stupid broadcaster guy. That would hurt my feelings.
I mean, I guess.
I think you would like it,
I
actually.
don't ever go to France.
I feel like you would be like, hey, this is awesome. Look at this. I'm the stupid broadcaster guy. And you would put it on your Twitter profile.
I could, you know what? That would be great.
It would be a pinned tweet for you.
I think it would. I think I could go to France and everybody like, hey,
he's the stupid broadcaster
you're
guy.
the stupid loser broadcaster guy.
Poor agony of defeat guy.
Somebody says that there is one Blockbuster left in Seattle?
I was going to say Seattle, the last Blockbuster.
I
they
thought that
tweet.
closed recently.
Well, I think you can spend the night there. And is that the last Blockbuster Twitter account? Because it's actually pretty funny.
I think I know what you're talking about, but
yeah, I thought it was a joke. But
no, I don't think that it is.
Yeah.
Some very sad news, and this one might end up being a loser. We teased this before we went to break. Bed Bath & Beyond bankrupt. So it's Bed Bath & Bankrupt now. It says they may not survive as a company. They issued this yesterday. This was the that a bankruptcy filing was possibly coming for them because of a substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue, worsening financial situation for them. And that to me is are you crying?
Sorry.
I just looked over at you and it looked like you were crying.
I'm laughing and my eyes are burning from the glue.
Oh.
And my eyes
the
are
way,
really irritated, so I was laughing and rubbing my eyes.
Amy's been sniffing glue.
No,
which is why she's doing that.
Floors, and they're gluing the floor down, and the glue is really overwhelming
In the building, so
Yeah.
the office is getting a whole new carpet job.
Yeah.
And flooring job by Reinhold. It looks great.
Looks great.
But there's a lot of glue, and you can smell it.
So Bed Bath & Beyond is going into the great beyond.
The stock plunged 30% yesterday, so it's in trouble. It's below $2 a share. I like Bed Bath & Beyond.
When was the last time you went to Bed Bath & Beyond?
A couple of months ago.
No.
Yeah,
Did you have a
absolutely.
coupon?
Of course.
Interesting.
You get every day you show up at home, there's a 20% off coupon in your mail. And coupon, it's not coupon.
What'd you buy? A scrubber?
Candles.
Did you really?
I kind of like candles.
You're kind of cute. That's really cute.
Thank you.
love Bed Bath & Beyond. You went there with a coupon, and got a candle?
I did.
Raj!
I like Christmas candles.
That's so cute.
Leave me alone. It's not that cute. Amy Marks Kors and Chris Ranji. The noon hour coming up before the Dave Glover show starts at 1 o'clock on KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Happy New Year on behalf of Zero Res. And they are celebrating the new year by giving you a great January deal. Get this, 23% off all of our services. Of course, carpet cleaning, pre-treated and Zero Res clean with the 30-day gotta love it guarantee, upholstery, air ducts, anything that you need in your home that's going to make it more beautiful, more healthy, more livable for the winter months coming up. If your New Year's resolution has anything to do with just improving your home and improving your quality of life, which of course most of us do, check out Zero Res. We have a 4.9 rating on Google with over 4,300 reviews. Once again, big news. DGS special for January 2023 is 23% off all services. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Happy New Year.
Hi, it's Debbie Monterey. And when I make a recommendation, you can be sure that I've done my homework and I only promote the best. So when it comes to real estate, I only recommend one realtor, and that is Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. I've been recommending Gloria for years now. I've met her clients, I've seen her systems, and she's the only agent I would trust to sell my home. Gloria Liu's proven track record for selling hundreds of homes this year alone should give you the confidence that she will help you sell for the most money, or the fact that Gloria already has the buyers. Buyers looking to buy right now. That's why Gloria will actually guarantee in writing to sell your home at your price and your time frame, or she'll buy it herself. Call Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or you can find her online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
KMOX, KEZK HD2, K254CR, St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals, KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
You know when you start up a motorcycle and you hear it go vroom, vroom, vroom when it takes off? I was losing that. I was losing my energy like everybody does as they grow older. And I don't want to be tired. I don't want to look tired, and I don't want to be tired. I started using Balance of Nature about 1.5 years ago. Noticed the results immediately. And I went, oh my gosh, this works. This is what I've been missing all my life. I'm loving life actually more than I ever have. I missed my va-va voom. I got it back.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. See why Kathy Lee Gifford and thousands of others have had life-changing success with Balance of Nature. Take advantage of our New Year's offer while you still can. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. That's 1-800-246-8751 and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code KLG.
Mid-America's most trusted source for news. KMOX.
At 12 noon, it's a sunny sky, 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. I'm Michael Calhoun. Our top story this hour.
Madam Clerk, I rise to nominate Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House.
The 12th vote is underway. There's still no resolution. While Kevin McCarthy said he believed there was new progress in the race for Speaker, there was no deal. And that is evident in the vote total, where more than 5 Republicans are still voting for other candidates for House Speaker. But there is progress so far. It appears to be fewer holdouts, 4 for Jim Jordan, 2 for Representative Hearn at this point. Representative Matt Gaetz criticized his Republican colleagues for continuing to nominate McCarthy.
One must wonder, Madam Clerk, is this an exercise in vanity for someone who has done the math, taken the counts, and is putting this institution through something that absolutely is avoidable?
Lawmakers are pausing to remember a dark day in U.S. history. It was 2 years ago today that a mob of rioters staged a deadly attack of the U.S. Capitol. As a result of the events, the lives of 5 officers were lost. 140 officers were seriously injured that day. Deborah Alfarone has the latest from Capitol Hill.
There were few arrests on January 6th, but the FBI moved fast, seizing cell phone records and compiling thousands of hours of video in what may be the most documented crime in U.S. history.
At least 950 people have been charged so far, nearly half of whom have either pleaded guilty or been convicted.
Impending closure loomed for Rosati Kane. Today, continued jubilation.
We are accepting students and excited to continue operations.
Rosati Kane is reporting nice new figures in its effort to move on without the funding from the Archdiocese. They now have 65% of the money needed to fully open next school year. Marie Casey is the board vice chair at the Academy, and the next step is to look for a new school president.
Our new board chair, Michelle Bonner, is leading a president search committee to work with the school community to identify what we are looking for in our new school leadership.
Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
Get your lottery tickets fast.
Make sure you stop for some Mega Millions tickets. You've got another chance at winning almost $1 billion. The jackpot is now an estimated $940 million. That's the 6th largest jackpot in history. You're dreaming about how you'd spend all that dough? Well, remember, Uncle Sam will take his share first, so you'd walk away with only about $483.5 million after taxes. The drawing is tonight at 11. Stacey Lynn, CBS News.
The KMOX Business Desk December jobs report.
Hiring is still solid while wages are starting to cool, giving the Federal Reserve a little room to slow its rate hikes. Payrolls increased 223,000 in December, capping a near record year for job growth. However, hourly earnings came in below estimates. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
The Dow from Steeples up 505 points to 33,435. And we've got a crash on 6440 going east before Timberlake Manor. It's got the 2 left lanes closed. They have cleared and put out the vehicle fire 55 north before Richardson Road. Stalled vehicle 270 east to McDonald Boulevard. The left lane closed.
Not a bad afternoon with more sunshine than clouds. We'll get up in the upper 40s, which is above average. We'll settle in the mid 30s tonight and then get back in the low to mid 40s with some rain at times later tonight into tomorrow. And then colder, 30s to near 40. There could be some rain or snow showers on Sunday. We'll keep an eye on. With AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Dean DeVore, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
It's a partly cloudy sky, 41 in Florissant, 43 in St. Peters, and 42 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444.
The noon hour on the show. Amy Marks, Kors, and Chris Ranji here on KMOX. At 1 o'clock, Dave Glover's in, and we sit in with him between 1 and 2. There have been lots of developments with the Idaho case, the murder of the 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho, from a couple of months ago. They have caught the suspect whom they believe committed those murders, and one of the ways they did it, the main way they did it, I believe, is the use of DNA and genealogy. So we are talking now with a chief genetic genealogist at Parabon Nano Labs at CC Moore, who joins us here on KMOX this afternoon. Good afternoon, CC. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so I would imagine that many people in your field are kind of following along with what's happened here because it's such a high-profile case. In something like this, without knowing all of the specific details, how would you be able to identify a suspect using genealogy like it appears they did here?
Well, we've been able to identify over 200 violent criminals across the United States just with my small team. And then there's another couple hundred that have been identified through this process with other teams. And it's following a process that I think a lot of people don't really understand. In this case, they would have, of course, collected that DNA evidence and taken it directly to the Idaho Crime Lab. They would have created their traditional forensic genetic profile and compared it against law enforcement databases, hoping to get a hit. Obviously, they didn't, since this suspect did not have a violent or serious criminal record. At that point, they could have then transitioned to trying to use investigative genetic genealogy. But that means they have to go back to the original crime scene DNA and send it out to a private lab because no crime labs have the capability of creating the type of profile that we need to do our work. So a private lab would have generated that file, which would have about up to 1 million genetic markers that are looked at. And that gives us much more power. So we're not just looking for an exact match. We're now looking for relatives or distant cousins in most cases. And we get a match list from people who share DNA with that unknown suspect. We're only allowed to use the 2 smallest genetic genealogy databases, which is another major misconception out there. People think we're using Ancestry DNA and 23andMe for this, but they actually bar law enforcement's use. So we can only use GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA, which is about 2 million people.
Oh, okay. That was my understanding from reading the stories about it, is that they could actually use something like Ancestry.com.
It's like Ancestry.com, but it's not Ancestry.com. So Ancestry.com and 23andMe are the 2 largest, most successful commercial DNA databases. Together, they probably have close to 40 million people in them. But those companies have vowed to fight law enforcement's efforts to use their databases, and they have deep pockets. Both of those companies are valued over $1 billion. They have legal teams, and they don't want law enforcement using their data. And so people that have tested there are not being used in these cases. And a lot of people think they are. They're not, unless they've downloaded their raw data, uploaded it to a website called GEDmatch, and opted in to law enforcement matching. Or if they've tested at Family Tree DNA, which is a commercial DNA testing company, but the smallest one, or uploaded there and not opted out of law enforcement matching, then we might be using them for these comparisons. But all of those people have been notified and given the opportunity to opt in or opt out.
Okay, and I'm just going to boil this down and maybe even oversimplify it, but the police officers, the investigators, go to the crime scene, and first they have to just grab samples of blood and say, okay, this blood sample is from this victim, this blood sample is from another. Here's a blood sample that doesn't match any of the victims. We'll assume it's the suspect. Then you match that blood sample DNA to try to see if there's a criminal history. If nothing shows up in that DNA, then it can go to one of those 2 very small databases that you said have about 2 million people in them, and just hope that someone in the extended family has voluntarily participated in one of those programs?
Yeah, that's exactly right, with two caveats. One, we don't know that they had blood evidence in this case. They may have, but in the affidavit, they only mentioned the sheath of the knife, which would have had most likely touch DNA on it, which is still viable for both the crime lab and the private lab that would have created the profiles. And then the other caveat is we are not just looking for one relative in the genealogy databases. And very rarely do we have a close enough relative to point directly at somebody. Instead, we get a list of hundreds or even thousands of distant cousins. We'll usually use the top maybe dozen or 2 dozen to try to reverse engineer that unknown person's family tree, because the only reason two people share these long segments of DNA that we use in our work is if you have a common ancestor. You have to have inherited that from somebody in your family tree. If they're big segments and lots of DNA, that's going to be a close common ancestor, like a grandparent. If they're very small pieces of DNA, that's more like a second great grandparent, third great grandparent, and beyond. And so most of the time we're working with people so distantly related to this suspect, they wouldn't have even ever heard that person's name.
Well, how far down the line can you go and then have that be reliable in identifying somebody?
We sometimes build trees back to the 1600s.
Oh my gosh.
But it's not based on a single piece of data. It is actually based on patterns in the data, commonalities, overlaps. We're looking for common ancestors who show up multiple times in the family trees of the people sharing DNA with this unknown suspect. And then we're looking to see how those will come together with other matches. So if you say identify 3 sets of common ancestors, you have to find someone who descends from all 3 of those. And we all have unique family trees except for our full siblings. And so if you get enough of those common ancestors figured out, you can piece back together that unique family tree that will eventually narrow down to just one immediate family.
Yeah, and that to me is almost astounding that can be figured out, because it feels a little bit like a needle in a haystack when you're looking at that many people with that much DNA. And so is some of the narrowing down process looking at the DNA strands, the family history, the common ancestors, and then going to location and saying, well, this person is in the right state or the right part of the United States versus someone else who could be in New York?
Exactly. So going back to the Idaho case, we don't know what they had to work with, but if they had matches that connected to both his mother's side and his dad's side family tree, then they would have been able to zero in on just that family. And he's the only son of those parents. So it would have obviously been him. But say they didn't really have quite as robust matches and data set. Maybe they could only narrow it down to one set of his great grandparents. In that case, they would look at multiple descendants of those great grandparents. They'd narrow it down by gender, age range, and then they'd start saying, okay, who lives where? Is anyone living near the crime scene? All right, this guy, maybe there was 3, which I think is unlikely, but say there was 3 cousins all living there that all descended from those ancestors. What do they drive? What do they look like? And we now know they had somewhat of a description of him. And so the genetic genealogy is just pointing them in the right direction. And then they have to look at other factors, and they look to see, are any of these people strong persons of interest in this case? So it's really just a lead generator. It's a tip. It's not something anyone's ever going to get arrested based on.
Genetic genealogist from Parabon Nanolab, CeCe Moore, is with us right now on KMOX. And what happens in a case where, crime scenes are messy, and then they can be, there are varying degrees of that. But if you have a bunch of DNA that's mixed in with each other, what's that separation process like, or how possible is it?
That's a really great question. And it's something we deal with in about a quarter of the cases we work with. We deal with a lot of sexual assault, so you can imagine there's mixtures. And these types of cases like the Moscow one where there's stabbings, it's really, really common that the knife slips out of the perpetrator's hand and they end up cutting themselves. So you see a lot of blood mixtures. The process is called deconvolution. We can get the victim's DNA, of course, that's a known quantity. Then you take that out, you can deduct that out of the total DNA, and you're left with just the perpetrator's DNA. It's even possible to do if, say, there was 2 of the victims' DNA or blood at the scene mixed with his. And that, again, is because we know who they are. He's the only unknown DNA. And so that's something that genetic genealogists don't do. That's something that the trained scientists do. At Paramount, we have really brilliant scientists there. Dr. Ellen Graytak has a Harvard degree, a PhD. So she's dealing with that type of the process and getting these files prepared for genetic genealogy. We're also working with very degraded DNA in the majority of the cases we work, because most are not active and hot like this one. Most are still cold cases that use this technique. And so there's a lot of repair work that has to be done with those DNA files.
So you used to hear, or still do, I guess, sometimes, the idea of a crime scene being contaminated because there are different, too much DNA or whatever. Like, is that as much of a problem anymore as it used to be?
Well, it still can be, and especially when you have technology now that is so sensitive. You used to have a lot of DNA. Now you can have just a tiny amount of DNA, such as in this case, it sounds like they were dealing with touch DNA on that sheath of the knife. Well, that is easily transferable. That type of DNA is not as definitive as having blood at a crime scene or semen at a crime scene. There's more argument that it could be transferred somehow. And so you just have to have other supporting evidence. So in this case, it's great. They've got lots of different evidence. They're not hanging the whole case on just this one DNA sample. As far as accuracy, equipment, the technology has advanced so much that things are getting more and more and more accurate. But that sensitivity is something we have to keep in mind, because we leave our DNA everywhere we go. You shake hands with someone, you transfer some of those skin cells, your DNA, to them. They can then leave those somewhere. And so it is something that can't be a rush to judgment. The pieces all have to point in the same direction.
How you mentioned the degradation of DNA over the passage of time. How much does DNA deteriorate over time? And is it that in the first 24 hours or first week, it's very easy to identify, and over years it becomes almost impossible? Or what does that deterioration process look like?
It really depends on the environment and how it's stored. So, for instance, we also work with unidentified human remains. In fact, there's a long-term case I've been working on in your area, St. Louis Jane Doe, a young girl that was found murdered in 1983. The DNA was very degraded, as you can imagine. It also gets contaminated by bacteria. Bacteria will insert its own DNA into the human genome, and you have to extract that out. In a case like Idaho's case, of course, this is fresh DNA. This is, optimal DNA samples in that regard. But because investigative genetic genealogy is so often used in cold cases, we're often working with very degraded DNA, as I said. But a lot of it does depend on how it's been stored. Was it stored in a cool, dry place? You don't want to store any DNA evidence in plastic, because that promotes bacterial growth. You don't want it to be handled a lot, which, back a couple decades ago, or even not that many years ago, our equipment wasn't so sensitive. And so a lot of people handled this evidence. And even before they knew what DNA was, they were collecting evidence that we can now use. But it was handled by a lot of law enforcement officers or medical examiners. So sometimes when we try to identify the DNA, it goes back to a law enforcement professional. And that's through no fault of their own. Things have changed, right? They didn't know back then that would happen. So we do see contamination in some of these cases, which is super unfortunate. But the good news is when you can identify that unknown DNA, you can at least rule that out. And we've had some cases where we've been able to identify that DNA that's been holding up the case because it was unknown. And once you can identify, okay, that's from an officer, that's from a medical examiner, that's contamination, they can set that aside. So there's, we could talk about it all day. There's so much that goes into it, but we've gotten to the point where we can work with extremely degraded and contaminated DNA and still have a successful outcome.
CC, before we let you go, and I actually want to talk to you about you're talking about that Precious Hope, case from the 80s. And I think we'd like to have you on again to talk specifically about that, if we could, sometime here in the near future. But overall, I'm curious, will we ever get to a point where committing a violent crime, there's going to be so much information and DNA testing will be so reliable that getting away with it will be nearly impossible?
Well, I think you'll be happy to hear we're already there. And this is one of the big messages of this case in Moscow and what it's really demonstrating clearly to the public. If you plan to commit a very violent, intimate crime, it is virtually impossible not to leave your DNA behind. And now, because of investigative genetic genealogy, even if you've never been convicted of a crime, we will find you. It might take hours, days, weeks, years, but you will be found. There's just no question of that. And what's the really terrific news is the effect that this has on public safety. We can stop criminals after their first violent crime like this, not wait for somebody to become a serial killer, a serial rapist. This guy could have become a Ted Bundy type or even a Zodiac, unidentified 50 years later. But because of investigative genetic genealogy, that just isn't going to happen anymore.
CC Moore, we appreciate your time. That is all extremely fascinating stuff. And again, we would love to have you on sometime here soon to talk about the St. Louis case and the specifics of it, if you wouldn't mind.
I would absolutely love that. For the longest time, I wasn't permitted to speak about it, but the department recently allowed that documentary to be made, which now releases me to be able to discuss it. Of course, I can't talk about everything, but I can talk about why it's such a difficult case and how we really need the community's help on this.
Great. We will do that soon. We really do appreciate all the time today and the information. It was wonderful and it really, really informative. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
That is CC Moore, Chief Genetic Genealogist at Parabon Nanolabs. That's absolutely fascinating stuff, all of it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
She was working on Finding Your Roots on PBS and The Genetic Detective on ABC.
Which, by the way, there was the story about Edward Norton, the actor who just found out on that show that he is directly related to John Rolfe and Pocahontas.
Well, that's cool.
Right? Because of what they are doing.
Yep.
Amy Marks-Kors and Chris Ranji, you've got the show.
2 ways to listen to KMOX in your car. 98.7 in the city, 1120 a.m. further out. The voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Well, for over 50 years, STL FenceWorks has been serving the St. Louis, the St. Charles, the Franklin, and Warren counties, and they continue to serve you with exceptional service and workmanship, incredible products, and great prices. See, STL FenceWorks has made deeply discounted winter buys on vinyl fencing as well as aluminum fencing, and they're able to pass those savings on to consumers. We're talking pre-pandemic costs. That's huge savings, especially right now. Also, there's no supply chain issues or material shortages at STL FenceWorks. In fact, they have more fence and deck material on hand, ready to go, than they've had at any other time in their 50-year history. I don't know any other company that can say that, and STL FenceWorks, they can. Great prices, great products, exceptional service, and workmanship. Just head on over to stlfenceworks.com, stlfenceworks.com.
Happy New Year from our friends at Zero Res 2023. Time to get your home Zero Resified with all the services at 23% off. You must book and clean in January. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com for 23% off all of our services.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats are on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. John Michael Montgomery, live in concert.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Bad Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena, Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Bad Geeks live. Reserved seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Bad Geeks.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Connect with KMOX on air, online, 1120 a.m., 98.7 FM, KMOX.com.
Just extremely fascinating stuff with
Yeah.
CeCe Moore, the genealogist.
It sounds impossible to me because when you think of the DNA that they collected at a crime scene, he has no criminal history. So it's not that he's in any type of law enforcement database. And you're able to narrow it down by going all the way back to the 1600s at times and drawing a family tree to a group of people that you then further narrow down by location. It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And when we asked the question of her, or it was we're talking about being able to get away with crimes.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not going to be able to
Well-
anymore. And she said, we're there now. If they find your DNA, which is almost impossible to not leave behind at a crime scene, and you're in the database, you're going to be found.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to know who you are. And I think that's a really, it's not, I think, it just is objectively a great place to be, to know that there will be a time where you absolutely will not be able to get away with murder. You'll at least be identified. Maybe you're able to skirt the authorities. They know who you are. You're on the run for many, many years, and they never catch you, but they'll know who you are. They'll know who did it. And that is awesome to know that's going to be possible.
Yeah. It's intense, though. It's intense. You definitely don't want it abused in any way. It's interesting with DNA being out there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think lots of further discussions.
If you missed the interview, it'll be on the Odyssey app. Go back and listen to it, the podcast tab. Amy Marks-Kors and Chris Ranji. Mike Claiborne is coming up next on the show.
Following the Dave Glover Show at 5 o'clock, it's Total Information PM. Hey, I'm Michael Calhoun. Check in with Kevin Wheeler and me for the latest news and information. Roger covers your commute. Dave Murray's got the forecast. Matt Pauley has sports. We'll take deep dives on local issues and help you be a smarter consumer. At 5:30, the CBS Evening News helps you understand what's happening around the country and the world. Total Information PM at 5 o'clock, right after Dave Glover on the trusted voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
At 12:30, it's a sunny sky, 44 degrees downtown at the Arch. Kevin McCarthy has lost this ballot for Speaker, but there is some good news for him. Some of the holdouts are coming his way.
Self.
We are making progress. McCarthy.
He had about 20 from his party voting for someone else, preventing him from winning the majority. But in the 12th ballot that is finished, 14 of those are now voting for him. He only needs a few more to reach the 216 or 217 necessary to become Speaker. The Labor Department released the December jobs report, which showed that employers added 223,000 jobs last month. The unemployment rate ticked down from the 3.6% to 3.5%, and the Labor Department says that matched a 53-year low. Mark Hamrick of Bankrate.com.
Among the sectors leading the way with hiring, leisure and hospitality, adding 67,000 positions. This realm, including bars and restaurants, remains more than 900,000 jobs shy of the pre-pandemic level.
Stocks are rising today on that jobs report. And the latest on the movies.
Ticket sales for Avatar: The Way of Water topped $1.5 billion, making it the highest grossing film released in 2022. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
We've got some construction 44 East at Antire. The 2 left lanes are closed, and there's a backup there. A stalled truck in the center lane of 70 West at Zumble. We got a stalled vehicle of 44 East before Lindbergh on the right shoulder, and a stall on 270 East at McDonald, left lane closed. This afternoon, sunny and chilly with a high of 47 degrees. A shower in places late tonight, the low 35. Cloudy with a little rain tomorrow and a high of 46 degrees. It's sunny and 44 downtown at the Arch now. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Make the switch to green soaps and personal products, and green cleaning products for the sink and shower. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
If you are a business owner and you have 5 or more employees and you managed to survive the past couple of years, do this. Go to getrefunds.com. getrefunds.com. If you, again, have 5 or more employees and you managed to survive COVID and everything that it threw at you, you could be eligible to receive a payroll tax rebate of up to $26,000 per employee. Now, this isn't a loan and there's no payback. It is a refund of your taxes. And I know the hard part can be getting your hands on it. You have to cut through the red tape, make sure you fill out everything correctly. And you can be, wondering, how do I get this refund money? Am I even eligible? Well, first, go to getrefunds.com, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. You can be eligible even if your business took PPP, even if you saw an increase in sales or you're a nonprofit. The team of tax attorneys that they've put together, well, they're highly trained in this little known payroll tax refund program, and they've already returned $1 billion to businesses, and they can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com.
Broadcasting from the Underlying Tree Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Caring for residents for over a century, Manor Grove is committed to making everyone feel at home. Choosing a home for your loved one to reside is an important decision and shouldn't be taken lightly. Manor Grove makes your decision easy with medical professionals and staff who care for residents like family. If you are looking for a caring and quality nursing home and rehab facility, please visit our website, manorgrove.com, and take our virtual tour. Manor Grove, over a century of caring. Welcome home to Manor Grove.
Your home of the Cardinals.
Arenado swings and hits it deep to left field. That ball is out of here.
The Billikens.
Jumper. Yes! Billikens win!
The Chiefs.
Touchdown! Kansas City!
We are America's sports voice, KMOX.
Good afternoon, friends. It's 12:34.
Yes, it is.
And it's time to talk with our guy. He is Mike Claiborne, who joins us, Amy Marks-Kors and Chris Ranji on KMOX, the Dave Glover Show coming up at 1. We're going to hang out with them as we always do for that first hour of their show. And Claiborne is here with us now, his regular Friday visit. What's up, Claibs?
All good in my neighborhood. What about yours?
Well, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's all you got?
Yeah.
Hey, are you heading down to Florida yet?
Probably right after the winter warm-up.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, winter warm-up is next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. You know, we haven't had it in a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a new venue, so I'm looking forward to how that whole thing sets up. And apparently all the players are coming back for autographs and some Q&As that'll take place, and the Cardinal Caravan will be underway. So it's the way I look at it, it's like the true official opening of the baseball season.
Yeah.
Once you get the winter warm-up.
2019 was the first time I was ever at a winter warm-up. It might have been the last winter warm-up, but it 2019, and Charlie Brennan and I sat down and chatted with Miles Michaelis, and somehow we got to the topic of waffles and how Miles Michaelis loves Waffle House, and we went into, I don't know how long we talked about waffles, but it was long enough that it continued after the segment. I think Charlie left. We were still talking about waffles. And Waffle House, after that, sent Miles Michaelis a whole box of Waffle House swag. Waffle House socks, Waffle House hat, Waffle House shirt. I did not get any.
How come you didn't get no stuff?
That's exactly right.
So there's a problem there. Well, you know, you don't have a 94-mile-an-hour fastball.
Well, I mean, that is it. That's the only thing. Otherwise, we're basically.
But if Amy weren't there, then
the waffles wouldn't have
Waffle
come up.
House wouldn't have come up, and nobody would know about it.
That's right. Anyway, that's my story
I'm
from
sorry
winter
that happened
warm-up.
to you.
Thanks, Ron.
Again, that's all you got, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Claibs,
this is going today.
Claims has no interest in. He's like, this is a waste of my time.
No, I mean,
I
I'm not a waffle guy, but I know Miles is. I've seen him wear some of that swag on the road.
So we did our draft today. It's Draft Friday, and we drafted losers in history.
Yeah, greatest, biggest losers.
Can you think of who is the biggest what or who? And it could be a public figure, it could be a company, it can be a team, whatever.
Should we tell him while he's thinking? Should we tell him our teams?
Yeah, give me your team.
So Amy went with George Custer, Jared from Subway.
General George Custer.
Yeah, General. Is there another?
I don't
Custer?
know. I don't know. Jared from Subway.
Jared from Subway, Milli Vanilli, Napoleon, the 07 Patriots, and the Agony of Defeat guy. I went with King George III, the Washington Generals, Robert E. Lee, Blockbuster, the 1929 United States, and the 90s Buffalo Bills. Even though it's not really fair to them, but still, 4 in a row that's not great.
Well, maybe by the end of the day, Kevin McCarthy will be on that list.
Dude,
That's why we did it in honor of Kevin.
I believe he has already lost this vote.
His
so.
12th. Yeah.
You know, if you go 0 for 12 in anything else in life, you don't get a 13th chance.
That's a good call.
Well, I don't know, man.
Think about a baseball player. He might be able to get away with it if he's a good player. Hey, he's over his last 12. You know, but we know he can turn it around. You know, I mean, that's over that longer period of time is not good. Let me think. Benito Mussolini.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was a big loser.
Yeah, he's a loser.
Yeah.
Let me think of somebody else. On the sports side, I would say the Toronto Maple Leafs. They haven't won Stanley Cup since before the expansion took place.
Yeah, that's a good
pretty
one.
bad, too.
So I would put them in there. Music, boy, that you know what? I'm going to say Kanye.
You know what? That's a great one. That's a great one because that dude, yes, very good.
Yeah, I would use him as a loser. I need one more, right?
Well, I mean, you could if you want.
I'm just trying to think of somebody local. No, I won't use anybody local.
Go ahead, do it.
I'll stay with that group of people. I'm sure there'll be something else. Well, you know what? 8-track tapes.
8-track tapes. Okay.
Yeah. You don't remember those, do you?
I've seen them. My grandma had them in her car.
Okay. Thanks a lot for reminding me of how old I am.
I didn't. That's
appreciate
not what I
that.
said. That's not.
That's all right. You equated me to your grandmother.
I never did such a thing.
What about the Super Bowl when Russell Wilson threw it?
That wasn't his fault. That's Pete Carroll.
No, that was Pete Carroll's
So
Pete
fault.
Carroll's
is
fault.
Pete Carroll the biggest loser in that one? All he had to do
He
was
was
run
on
the
that
ball.
Sunday.
Yeah, on
He
that
was
Sunday.
on that
he was.
day.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's a pretty good team.
I think so.
You didn't even take Patrico. Okay, your turn. Go ahead, Amy. You have a question about something?
No, I forgot the question, Runge.
What? What are you talking about?
I forgot the question. Hey, did you hear, Claibs, have you been following the U.S. men's national team scandal?
Yes. You know what? Claudio Reyna's wife, loser.
That's you know what? That's unbelievable.
Because it was
You know what?
Gio
She is
Reyna's
classic,
mom, right?
Classic soccer mom, hands-on parent. Her baby didn't get a chance to play, so she drops a dime on the coach. What did it take place in 1991?
Yeah.
Okay, and she decides she wants to drop that dime on him because her baby didn't play a lot.
So let's
The
let's
same baby
recap
they
that.
almost put on a plane to send home in the middle of the tournament.
Unbelievable, because there was what is happening here, and we have not had a chance to talk about it, but he was on the U.S. team, the national team in the
Gio
World
Reyna.
Cup. Gio Reyna. He was on the team. There's the story about Greg Berhalter that just came out that he had kicked his now wife in an altercation back in the 90s.
Yep.
And the story is just now coming out. Well, there was also the story about Reyna apparently being a difficult teammate, and he was losing playing time as a result of it.
Mhm.
And that seems to have all been squashed. But his parents,
Well, and the rumor was that Berhalter had told Reyna,
His playing
who's
time was-
20 years old, that Reyna would have limited on-field time in
Right.
the World Cup.
right. So his parents decided to throw that out there as like to take a dig at him, which is just an unbelievable. It's one of the worst cases of parental meddling that I can remember in sports.
Sports parenting is what you're
Yeah.
looking for.
Yeah.
And she confirmed it. She said,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
I
I did it.
issued the statement to multiple media outlets bringing up this incident. And again, it's a horrible incident that this happened back in 1991. But the whole issue that she was upset because her baby, her sweet little boy, didn't get enough playing time in the World Cup. So she's going to throw the coach under the bus because her husband and Greg Berhalter have been friends since they were kids. They played
Yeah.
on the World Cup team together. This is a lifelong family friend
Well,
or
former
acquaintance.
lifelong family friend.
Right.
But here's the other thing. They fail to mention they've been married for how many years now? 25 years?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, she's the biggest loser.
Yeah.
That's just, it's such an unbelievable story that you can't, and you hear stories like this and probably know people close to you in your life, whether when you were on a team, a little league team, high school team, whatever, or you had a teammate who was like this, whose parents were constantly getting on the coach for playing time, or why isn't my son playing? That kind of, I've always found that to be really obnoxious. And now this is one of the most incredible stories because we're talking about a pretty high profile athlete here.
You're right. Yeah, and I was lucky with my two kids. I thought they were fortunate to have really good coaches, and I think, and Dan Rolfers, who in my opinion is the best high school basketball coach in the state of Missouri, if not the country right now. I said two things to him every year: good luck and thank you.
Yeah.
Because he had enough problems on his head without me coming up trying to tell him how to do his job. But, that doesn't always exist. And, for these parents to get involved and I guess after the fact, they felt like they were going to smear this guy, and they could have done something better with their time.
It's just so weird and so gross, and how they just must be the worst. Because again, so Claudio and Danielle Reyna, the parents of Gio Reyna, mad that Greg Berhalter didn't give their son enough playing time in the World Cup. Claudio was the best man at Greg Berhalter's wedding. He was the best man. And then this is what they're doing. And again, I don't want to minimize the incident at all. I happened back in 1991. They did reconcile. They got married in the late 90s. They've raised 4 kids. So it seems like whatever happened in their marriage, they continued to move past that or beyond it, or, and I'm sure it was very harmful. So on so many levels, for Danielle Reina to bring this up to multiple media outlets and throw it out in the public, what a petty, vindictive move.
Well, I think the next question is, apparently he's a talented player, but he was a little too young, and they just wanted him to get a little experience. So what happens in 4 years when he's 24 years old? Who wants to play with this guy?
How embarrassing.
Right?
Yeah.
It's
That's
embarrassing.
exactly it. And this is after all those stories came out, or it may have been 1 or 2, about him being difficult in practice and kind of moping or whatever, not trying. And it had been handled within the team already.
Right. Well, they were going to send him home.
Yes. But
They
players
were going
kind
to
of
send
pulled
him
him
home,
aside.
and they got him straightened out, and now this comes up. So, it is what it is.
So can I just ask, though, like, how mopey do you have to be as an athlete that your coach and your teammates are going to send you home? What does a mopey athlete look like? And have you seen that in other sports, Claves? Just a mopey athlete?
Yeah, you'll see guys who don't, you're going through drills, maybe half-assed and don't really go through the drill, or, guys, the body language says a lot. And that's one of the things I always talk about in sports today because of the analytics. They have analytics for how fast you run and how high you jump, but they don't have an analytic for body language or heart. That's why you always have to keep an eye on the athlete, compared to just reading a spreadsheet. And, somewhere along the way, his body language and just his attitude was enough where players just didn't want to have him contaminate everyone else.
Is that entitlement or laziness or both?
Maybe both. Maybe both. I mean, think about it. You're 20 years old and you're on a World Cup team.
Yeah.
So, and you're walking around like, it doesn't stink. And, these guys out there working hard, trying to compete. And this guy feels like he should be playing. And maybe he should, but maybe this wasn't his time. I mean, everybody goes through that. But apparently his mother didn't feel he had to go through it. So she's trying to get somebody fired.
I know a lot of people don't like Berhalter, but this is not.
All
this
right.
does not feel like the way to go about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? There's a lot of great coaches and managers that weren't well liked. But, Mike Keenan and Bob Kersey used to say the same thing. You can hate me 364 days out of the year, but on that 365th day when you're raising the Stanley Cup or holding a gold medal, that's the only day I really hope you care.
Yeah.
Claves, we appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the weekend.
All right, you guys have fun. Stay warm.
Thank you.
Amy Markscourse.
Yep.
Chris Ranji. That was Mike Claiborne. He's great.
He really is. I just
What?
really appreciate your enthusiasm right now.
What do you mean?
Well, you're kind of mopey.
Oh, stop it.
A
That's
little
it.
mopey. I can
What,
tell
you
by
gonna-
your body language.
You going to cut back on my playing time?
Yeah.
Well, let me dig into your past.
Oh, that would actually be boring.
Yeah, it really would.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I think if anybody ever investigated you for anything, they would stop after page 2.
Out of
There's
boredom.
nothing going on here. This is nothing. All right, Amy and Chris and the show will continue after this on KMOX.
Hi, guys. It's Mark with Pineview Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of the pills? Well, we have a major medical advancement that has helped thousands of men. Our wave technology is backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge University. It's been shown to increase blood flow by repairing blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED, call us now. And not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, but will also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that one, guys. Trust me. This unprecedented offer is worth $600, but it's free to those who call in the next 2 minutes. Call 314-530-7777. That's 314-530-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your life back. Call Pineview Medical Clinic now to qualify. 314-530-7777.
The St. Louis Women of Achievement Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area, whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. Nominations are currently open for the 2023 Women of Achievement. Nominate a woman who volunteers in the community and makes a difference in the lives of others. Or if you're one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 10th. Head to WOASTL.org.
Hi, this is Ken. And Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals.
Join us Sundays at 9:30 a.m. for Your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
You know when you start up a motorcycle and you hear it go vroom, vroom, vroom when it takes off? I was losing that. I was losing my energy like everybody does as they grow older. And I don't want to be tired. I don't want to look tired, and I don't want to be tired. I started using Balance of Nature about 1.5 years ago, noticed the results immediately, and I went, oh my gosh, this works. This is what I've been missing all my life. I am loving life actually more than I ever have. I missed my va-va voom. I got it back.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. See why Kathy Lee Gifford and thousands of others have had life-changing success with Balance of Nature. Take advantage of our New Year's offer while you still can. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. That's 1-800-246-8751 and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code KLG.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is hiring commercial and residential technicians and installers. Do you have a technical background? Are you mechanically and or electronically inclined? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis offers a paid training program, company vehicle that you take home, health benefits, competitive pay, starting bonus, and much more. Now hiring commercial and residential technicians. Go to overheaddoorsstlouis.com to learn more. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
The show, sponsored by Straight Realty, your St. Louis area experts. Why pay more than 4? 314-441-4444. Amy Marks Court.
Fabulous.
Chris Ranji.
Unbelievable.
On the show.
Amy Marks Course.
It's Friday.
Hey, I'm Chris Ranji. Did you know that?
I unfortunately did.
How's Kevin McCarthy doing
Well,
right now?
he got some new votes.
New votes.
Yeah. I
That's
think,
good. Progress.
but I think
for
he
him.
might not make it this time.
Again?
Yeah.
We are in the middle of the 12th vote for
12.
Speaker of the House in the U.S. House of Representatives. And he is still trying, and this vote is not going to go his way, though he is, as you've said, making progress.
Yep. Also, in honor of Kevin McCarthy, our draft for today was historical losers.
Yeah.
And we drafted our favorite,
Yes.
biggest losers from throughout history.
To vote on the poll, because we have the Twitter poll, who had the best draft,
Mhm.
Amy or me, you have to go to the show's Twitter account. It is at the show.
Yeah.
KMOX.
And you can also follow at Chris Ranji
Yeah.
and at Amy Mark Scores
Yeah.
because our boss asked us to get you to follow us on Twitter.
Well, he asked you.
He did.
I'm the one who's mouthy on Twitter. You're
are.
not. You're like, I don't like people.
I don't like people on Twitter. So anyway, if you're on Twitter and would like to be on Twitter with us, at Amy Mark Scores, at the show KMOX, and at Chris Ranji, because it would help us out.
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
Download the app, the Odyssey app, and whenever the show is over, you can go back and listen to the podcast. And as we mentioned, really some good stuff today. We talked to Emily Manley about the Missouri legislature and some of the things that are happening, the bills that may or may not be passed this session. Also, Cece Moore, who is a genealogist, and we talked to her about the Idaho suspect and them identifying this dude, this alleged psychopath, and just a really fascinating interview with how it's done. And also, we are going to talk to her in the near future, about the Precious Hope case in St. Louis, the little girl who's somewhere between the ages of like 8 or 10 years old and was found decapitated in an abandoned building back in 1983. And they've been trying to identify this person for a long time. And she's on that case. Yeah. So we're going to talk to her about that specifically sometime coming up here in the next few weeks. Really looking forward to it. But go back if you missed it. It's all on the Odyssey app on KMOX.com. It will all be there for you to go back and listen to.
Did you mention that Cece is the head DNA genealogist for Finding Your Roots on PBS? If you've ever watched that show. That's right, I did.
That's right. You did mention that.
Yep.
Which is the show that we just talked about, Edward Norton, finding out that Pocahontas is his distant relative.
Do you watch a lot of those types of shows?
I don't watch that one. I'm aware of it, but I just, I haven't had it on.
Yeah.
What's
your go-to show right now? I've had a lot of people tell me I need to start watching Jack Ryan.
I don't really watch that one.
Huh. I think it looks good. John Krasinski. He's Jack Ryan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Did you watch 1923, the Yellowstone origin story?
The Yellowstone thing does not.
Really?
It does not appeal to me.
Huh,
I don't know what it is. I just can't find myself getting into it. I saw one scene once and I was like, all right, I'm good. Dave Glover Show's coming up. Amy and I will stick around with them on KMOX.
With an equal opportunity for all to sing, dance, and clap their hands.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning. Happy New Year.